exhibition park, the real live fun of harness racing. Here they come, an exhibition park.
Welcome to another episode of the History of EPR Podcast. My name is Scott Bernard. We have another legend on the show today, and I'm going to start up real quick here. I'm going to go over his stats over the years. He has over 5,000 wins as a driver, over $7 million won, over $700 or 700 wins, as a trainer. Some of the big races he's won, and this is just a few. I mean, every big race he won, to be the whole podcast going over it. So the 1981 Gold Cup and Saucer, the 1985 and 1990 Alexander Memorial, the 1985 Walter Dale, and also 1988, 1993 Montoni, and 1977 Earl Memorial Bound to Be. I kind of just gave it away. Some of the awards, and again, some of them. The 1969 Rookie of the Year, 1987, 88, 91, 92, 93, and 95 Driver of the Year. I probably missed a few years. Most wins in 1974, 84, 88, 89, 91, 92, 93, 2006 Horseman of the Year. And he was inducted into the St. John Hall of Fame in 1997. So Steve Mahar and his wife Twila, who's beside him the whole time and going through, is our guest today. So I'm going to bring them on. Hi, everybody. How you guys doing?
Hi,
Good.
Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Good.
Thank you for helping us.
Oh, I appreciate you coming on. I really do. We're going to have a lot of fun. And we're also going to bring on Sam Hodgins, who was also there with you the whole way, pretty much. Hey,
Yep.
Sam.
Hello. I followed in his foot tracks for a while there as a young fella. So
Great. We're going to get all
I had to
jumping.
keep him around to keep Randy Phillips on them straight.
yeah, I thought I had them all good until I left, and then I heard they all went off the track. So
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm going to jump right into it pretty much, guys. First, and I'll do it for everybody because I think Sam, we talked about this before on the Jeopardy, but Twila and Steve, whoever wants to go first, like, what got you started in harness racing?
I was born in Blacks Harbor and I lived in Lake Utopia, and I moved up here when I was, I think, 13 or 14, and I lived across from Donnie Queen, and his father had horses, so that got me into just going down to the track and hanging around the horses and walking them after the races and stuff like that. So that's got me started in it. That's basically about it as far as getting started in it.
So Twila, were you involved in harness racing before you met Steven, or was that something that once you guys met, you got into it?
I'm a fourth generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were around it for all your life then?
My
pretty
father,
much.
my grandfather, my great-grandfather was
Wow.
a blacksmith. Yeah. And our granddaughters were sixth generation
Oh, that's
because
awesome.
our daughters worked in the industry, and Bonnie owned horses.
Yeah. So you guys obviously met at the racetrack, I'm guessing, Twila, you and Steven?
Yeah.
Yeah, through Queens, and we were all, Donnie's sisters were friends of mine, and a bunch together all around.
Great. And Sam, so you came in, did you come in around the same time too, Sam? Or did you come in a bit later?
no, I was later. I started around the track probably when I was about 12 years old. Same kind of idea. I had a neighbor just said one day, "Do you like the horses?" And we wandered down, and he had a horse. And then the following summer, I started working around the racetrack at 12 years old, and pretty well haven't left it since. So.
That's awesome. And it gets in your blood, 100%. So
Yeah.
Steven, I was going to mention about your friendship with Jimmy Daugherty, because that's one of the first people that you worked with, am I right, when you first came down to EPR?
Not when I first came down to EPR, but I was going to school at the time, and in the summer we used to go to Montreal and race up there for a little bit, and then they closed down for the thoroughbreds, and we go to Foxborough and Rockingham, that sort of like that. But when I was in school, as soon as I got out of school, Jimmy was ready to move out, so I just went with him and stayed with him for 2 or 3 years, and in the fall I come back and went back to school. So I just did it, when I was a groom, more or less.
That's a good way to spend the summer. like
Yeah.
doing that for sure. Yeah. So so you
And
started.
my brother worked with Roof and Barrio,
Okay.
and they used to go. He used to have some of Webby's horses and stuff, and he pretty much done the same thing, but he worked for Roof and him and a couple of his friends.
Yeah, so they brought a lot. That's really cool. I mean, for something like harness racing, where they'll bring people in and kind of into the world, and be like, here, like, you know, if you want to be part of it, like, you know, I've heard of people getting into small as like just shoveling stalls and stuff as kids. You know, it's really cool. So you started in 1969. I actually had the first picture for you. So I have your Rookie of the Year picture. There it is there. And you definitely look like a rookie. You look very young in that picture. And who else is in that picture? I'm trying to get someone else. I think Pat Eastwood would probably break it down for us. But
Roddy Gogan.
Yep.
And Donnie Gabreth.
Okay, great.
The man holding the trophy, he owned King Square Jewelers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think didn't they have I think you guys would be able to answer this question for me. Didn't they have like almost like a little advertisement on the old school tote board?
Yes.
Something like maybe, yes. Okay. Because I've seen that in the 71 video that I had, and I noticed this with the tote board. And here's, I think this is
every horseman went to King Square Jewelers and bought their girlfriends their engagement rings.
Nice. When did you guys get married? I think I've seen that, but I can't remember. When did you guys get married?
69. We've been married 54 years.
Wow.
53.
Very good. So right when Steven started, you guys got married.
Yeah, before he got his license. Yeah.
And here's another one for you. I think this is is this the same one? I think Rookie of the Year one.
No,
or is this a different one?
No,
this would be later.
Yeah, that was percentage driver.
Okay. Okay, let me go into my format here. So, like, Steven, you pretty much like kind of got it. Like, I looked at your stats. You got it pretty quick. Like, you were pretty good right away. I mean, I know you might want to be modest and say, maybe, but I mean, it looks like from your stats, you got it pretty quick. You got to hang of it pretty quickly.
Yeah, you just got to be in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
Yeah, he's being a little modest. He's one of those ones that just when he sat on the bike, he just looked like a natural from day one.
Yeah. Definitely. No, from the stats, I mean, I have a few. I'll even bring them up right now real quick. It's some of these ones here, the stat sheets. It's a little tough to see. I'll full screen it here and see if it makes a difference. If everybody sees it now. I mean, this is what, a year in, top of the drivers in the place. This is EPR in the 70s. I mean, this is a big deal because these guys aren't jokes. We have Aubrey Wood, like Jackie Bernard, Bill Nicholson. I can't even see the top. My phone's in the way.
Yeah, there was a lot of good drivers around then. Willard Carr and Miller Coburn and all them guys. Yeah. Aubrey Woods.
Yeah.
And the EPR was one of the toughest places to races because of so many good drivers and trainers and the horses that were around. It was very competitive. And if you as a young fellow,
like Marcel came and Jill and all them guys and Jody Hennessy and Wally and it was always tough.
Whalens.
The Whalens and Callie Rankin. And, there was never an easy time out there. It was
all the Islanders coming over.
Yeah.
Francis and Gary McDonald and Blois and it was always competitive.
It was the place to be, Expedition Park.
If you look at, I look like old, like the rate, like old, like in the race in the paper, they'll have like the Wednesday night card, they'll show it, and you'll see like 8 horse fields for 10 races and like 8 or 9 eligible horses. So people are just trying to get in, right? Like it's crazy. And I mean, even like I forget what I was watching. I was watching an 85 tape when I put it down last week, and I'm seeing like 9 horses on like a race 5, race 6. It's crazy. Like there's guys lined up behind other guys. So, but your first ever win, Steve. Do you remember that horse? I can tell you right away if you don't remember. I just figured if you remember the horse or not.
Wishbone Direct, I think.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, 1969. I don't have the tape. Sorry.
I don't
know if they had tapes then.
Oh, don't start me on that. Don't get me going on that because I'm like the researcher.
Too.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Well, I do have a 1970 video. I think it's 71. And me and Aubrey one day were sitting in his car trying to figure out who was in it. He's like, pause it. He's like, I'm like, that's black and white. We're not gonna figure out who's in that race.
It's funny you bring up the payphones, Twila. Remember when races would start, they would go lock all the payphones up.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
They would
In the
actually put
States.
locks on them
Yeah.
so that you
When-
couldn't call from the grandstand.
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
raced in the States, like especially Foxborough and Florida, wasn't it, Sam? There, they'd lock them up, and you weren't allowed to use the phone in the paddock.
Why would they do that? I don't like. I'm just curious. I don't understand what that.
Well, for
Off-track
bookies.
betting, illegal off-track betting.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
That
Now,
was
now they promote it. So
Yeah, they sell tickets in the
That
paddock.
horse I won with Whisper Direct, Dean McLaughlin, the guy that owned Little Manny, owned part of
Okay.
Little Manny.
Yeah.
He owned him. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
what was that, right?
He worked with Marilyn Whalen at Royal Trust,
Mm.
and he got into horses. Yeah.
So I'm gonna show. Oh, go ahead, Sam. Were you gonna say something? I didn't mean to cut you off
No,
there.
no, you're good.
I'm gonna show a clip here. I don't know if you've seen this or not, Stephen and Twila, but this is from the Bob Stevenson podcast. It's a little
Okay.
story that he has.
Mm.
So bear with me because the way you show clips on here isn't working, so I have to load it myself. So I think you see before when the clip comes on, we're all muted, but it's only like 30 seconds long. It's just a funny little story that Bob told in his podcast with me and Russell. So we'll just wait for it to load. We're in the Sam.
Feet up there.
Yep.
Stevie Mahar will tell you a good one about him. I had him in one stall and Darky was in the one beside him. And I come in the barn one morning and I said, what the hell? I looked and there's Darky right up against the wall, the far side. I opened the stall door and looked, and there was a hole there. You could have buried anybody in it. And it was up next to the wall.
He could have crawled through
Between
the
the
other
two
side.
of them. Shawfield had pawed the hole so big that the stall in Darky's stall caved in into his. And when I stood in the hole, I hollered for Stevie, and Stevie come around the corner, and I'm down in the hole looking right at Stevie's kneecap. And that's how deep the hole was.
Yeah, I can remember that.
That was pretty funny. He was talking about that horse, how wired it was, how he'd bring it back and after racing like 3 heats to be standing up on both both legs up on like just wired, ready to go.
He was a good feeler.
Story. Let me go into some of the pictures here real quick. Got some stuff from the 70s for you, Stephen. I got here an old newspaper article. This would have been 1970, I think, right when you first started up, a year in. I don't know the horse you're with. Let me see if I can bring that up. Is it better? Can you see it better like that, Stephen? Like, do you see the difference when I bring it up full screen?
Yeah, no, you can see it, but I can't really tell because it's
The horse? Oh, remember she Elmer. That was the horse.
Yeah, I remember Elmer. Yeah, Twila's father had horses for Vince Livingston and different people. Anyway, his son Jack Livingston, he did all the promotions here around here for all singers and stuff that come in all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of that promotion stuff. Anyway, he had this horse, Memory Elmer, and he owned it, and his father owned a couple other horses with Twila's father, and he used to get me to drive them, and yeah, we had a lot of success with him. He won quite a few stake races. They were early closers and stuff.
Yeah, he seemed like he was pretty good because I was going through a lot of the stuff you guys gave me. He's all through it, right?
Yeah.
We have that. Let's see a couple more. So we're gonna get through the 70s. We're gonna mostly we're gonna get into the Florida stuff and all that. Peter has a couple of horses. As when me and Peter were talking this afternoon, he mentioned to me, he said, well, bring up these horses for me where I'm not gonna be in. So I'm gonna bring up a couple of horses and just like, if you don't remember the horses, say I don't remember the horse because you've raced thousands of horses, so it's easily like I can't remember what happened 3 days
I
ago.
can forget a few for sure.
One horse, Baron Van Dyke. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
He was a nice horse, great horse.
Junior was with me at the time when we had him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the.
He was a great.
Still had him when we went to Florida the first year.
Yeah. He was a gray.
Sold him in Foxborough, didn't you?
Yeah.
Steve LeBlanc's father bought him.
Yeah. Leonard.
Yeah, I remember the first night they raced him. He was in the paddock. He always wears a shadow roll. And Stevie walked up to Steve LeBlanc. He said, "Listen, that horse wears a shadow roll." And Steve LeBlanc says, "He's not going to need a shadow roll tonight." And Stevie said, "Well, he jumps over the lights with the wire." he said, I'll be far enough ahead, he can jump, it won't matter. And sure enough, he went with them open legs, but he did. He jumped or leaped over the lights coming to the wire. So
Yeah.
He leaped over the light, like the shadow of the lights.
like
Yeah,
that, like
yeah.
the lights used to shine right
Yeah.
on the water
Yeah.
for the photo finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just leaped over them. So
I think you had 3 gray horses that year, didn't you?
No, we're
it
not.
was him and Johnny Bruss.
Yeah.
That was the next one I was going to mention. So keep going. There you go. Perfect.
I thought there was another one. I thought you had 3 gray
Yeah,
horses.
Yeah, I don't think I had them all at the same time.
yeah, I think we just had Johnny and Baron Van Dyke the first
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Johnny. That's what I was about to the next one. So Misty Hill Mary. Okay. This seems like a good story.
You bring her name up. A lot of people that were going to watch this podcast will
Yeah.
know Mary.
Yeah,
No.
she was quite dirty, kicking. She was not a nice mare to be around, but she was a really good race mare.
She
She took a little bit. She took a little bit of time for you to figure out, but once you nailed her, I think the first year she'd be the second year we were in Florida, and she raced all that winter, and she just had trouble getting around the turns. And I think it was the last night. I think Steve took and he made equipment change. He put her head up as high as he could get it, shortest check as he get. She went out and just jogged. The last start of the meet, that's what he said. He says, "Good time to figure you out, just when we're leaving."
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Twila, about that horse? Or you were saying that too before?
She seemed like she liked girl grooms better than
Okay.
me. Yeah. She didn't really like anyone, but she
Yeah.
tolerate a girl better. I think
She was hard to put the hobbles on, all that stuff. She'd be trying to kick you, and just
Jesus.
You
a
Steve,
dirty bitch.
You remember the first night we were racing her in Pompano? Mike Campbell had trucked her down for us.
Oh yeah, right.
And the guy at the paddock judge, we always joked with him. And we told the paddock judge as he walked toward her, that mare's from Newfoundland and her tattoos on her bottom lip.
oh yes, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
So he walks down and the next thing
He
Stevie
lifts
says,
up
"Look,
her
I'm looking
tattoo.
at her
Her lip,
bottom
but we
lip."
didn't know. We never ever checked. And we
Yeah,
lifted
she
up
had
her
no
tattoo,
tattoo.
and there was no tattoo there. So then he took the bottom and looked at it. There was no tattoo at all.
Yeah.
I just said
He
that.
said, he came over to us, he says, "I get the last lap, you're scratched, get out."
Yeah,
Yeah, you get her tattooed, you can come back.
yeah.
Well,
The
Yeah.
next horse. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't cut you off there. Go ahead, Steve.
I forgot all about that, Junior.
yeah, oh, listen,
I did too. I
yeah,
did.
my memory just keeps wrapping up stuff. It's just unbelievable. Somebody starts talking about Florida, I said, I can go on for hours about stories. So.
As soon as you said it, I remember. But
It's not about horses, it's about clubs. You could go on forever with the stories.
The next horse is Gideon Labelle. That was like, I think, mid 80s. I seen that horse in one of my tapes I was going through.
yeah, I think he was Junior's favorite.
I think he was.
Junior drove him a few times.
Yeah. Was he your favorite?
Yeah, oh yeah, no, he was a big stallion, and he let everybody know every night he raced he was a stallion.
He'd come out on the
walked
track
it-
with his rigging hanging out. And,
Yeah, he'd be just screaming and hollering. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
But he was really in the barn and stuff. He was a nice horse to work around.
he had no speed, but he was tough as you could get. He just go lay outside. He was like Scott's gone and just lay out there all day and just be still coming in the end.
Yeah, I remember you talking about laying outside there one night. We got the paddock and we had forgot his shadow roll. And you went and borrowed one from Walter. Walter gave you a green shadow roll. You remember that night?
Yeah.
Anyways, Walter's in the race with him, and Stevie's parked laying outside of him the whole way, but just up to Walter's like bike. And getting through the lane, Stevie went on by him. He says, "Jesus, you're a nice fella, parking me the whole way. I didn't know it was you." He says, "You knew it was you when you seen your shadow roll looking right at you."
That's funny. Ambro Usher.
That was Randy's favorite. Randy Phillips.
Yeah.
He was his favorite.
He was a nice little horse.
He was.
Yeah.
He could
He
drink.
was
He could drink beer out of a cup, and the cup sides would suck right in.
Yeah, he was one of those horses that if you could save him to the head of the lane, I'll tell you.
Yeah, he was a nice
He was-
little horse.
I raced him in Pompano one night, and Billy Houghton had one in there. And I left out of there, and I think I got in the 2-hole or whatever, and I sat behind him, and I was like 75-1 or something. I don't know. It was a long shot anyway. And Billy Houghton had like a 1-9. and I just moved him halfway down the stretch, and he blew right on by.
Nice.
And they called me over to the office, and there's just shouldn't have happened, but
Yeah.
that was the kind of horse he was.
He's a pretty horse, pretty little
Yeah,
horse.
no, that's why I remember you getting the call the next day to come over to the judge's office and wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
He came back, he says, we got to put him in class that's going to go lots next week because they told me he better pace just as much.
The next horse, this one actually, I think, survived the fire in the early 70s. Pine Haven Vin.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what there's a picture of you with him. We won't talk about that fire, but
Well, we had a
tough horse.
fire in the barn, and all the horses that I think I had 8 or 9 or whatever,
Mhm.
and they all burnt but him. And I got him out of the stall, but I couldn't stay in. The smoke was so bad, and I run out,
Yeah.
And then finally, a few minutes later, after the fire department and everything were there, he come running out. But he was
Jeez.
I think he was one of the only ones that ever raced.
Did he race
Uh,
after that? Like he
yeah.
raced after that? Yeah. Was there? Did you find there was a lot of, like, he was different because of the fire, or?
No,
No, not really.
our girls liked him.
He was a very nice
He was,
horse.
he was kind of what a junior invitational horse, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have.
Yeah. So that was when you had Lloyd McKinney's horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Driver, and there were a bunch of them that were lost in that fire. That were nice.
I
nice
had
horses.
1 or 2 for Brian Moore.
That's the first time that I ever worked for Steve. I used to, you had Steve Mason working for you then.
Yeah, him and Brian used to fight all the time. I come back from the paddock and they'd be fighting in one of the stalls.
Yeah.
And
So
of course, Sam would just carry on and not pay any attention.
that's when he came over, and I was with my father next door, and we had a few horses, but nothing racing. And they used to hire me to come and help them on race nights. I remember one night working for Stevie and Lloyd McKinney, and I think he had like 7 in this night. It was muddy, so everybody was covered in mud. Everything was covered in mud. You were tired. And he wins 6. And the other horse was like 3rd. Old Lloyd came in. He says, you're not going to believe my luck. He says, I waited all night to bet one horse, and he got beat. Even though he won the other 6. He said, I didn't bet them. He said, I bet the one that got beat. So,
It wouldn't matter if you
I
had
think
20
that was
horses and 19 of them won, he'd be crying about the other one not winning.
Yeah. that
That's
was my
just the way
first
he was.
encounter with him. I said, well, I'll never forget that one. So,
So one of the big ones he had, at least in my mind, I mean, it could be completely wrong, was Astral Smoke. So you had Astral Smoke. What he was in the.
He was a New Zealand. He was an Australian horse, I think, and
Yeah,
he
he
never
was
wore
only
a
the first-
head check.
he was one of the first ones that Albert and them started through with it, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
He was a horse that raced without a head check.
yeah. I used to have a lot of fun with him. I'd be coming out of the paddock, and I'd say to somebody who was walking in the yard, "Hook his head for me, will you?" And they'd run up and go to grab it, and he'd over had a head check. You son of a bitch. Yeah.
I have a cool picture of him right here.
He
This
was
is
kind
the
of a
one.
nice little horse. He could leave 100, and he was kind of a sucky little horse. He was not a top class horse, but he was like a junior horse sort of thing. Yeah,
I think he was in the Alexander one year, was he not? I could have sworn
yeah
he
he
was
might have been in there, but he was just a filler.
Yeah,
He wasn't that class of horse.
So we
That
have
was
another-
remembering back to Amber Usher. I remember the year we won the. I worked for Stephen. He won the Gold Cup and Saucer,
Mhm.
and he was going on holidays in Fredericton, and the Walter Dale was coming up, and Stevie said, "Do you want to race one of the Walter Dales?" So I'm thinking automatically, geez, we just won with Henry Butler. I'm going to have a good shot in here. Yeah, the program came out. It was Amber Usher. It's like, oops. Real nice horse, but he was in with the wrong company that night. But
Yeah.
that was one of my chances. I did get to drive in the Walter Dale, but I was just in there. So I think
Yeah.
Marcel won it that year with Meteor Hanover. So
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They're hard to find. Fredericton races are nearly impossible to get.
Mm.
Because I don't have the connection I have in St. John. Here's a few. I'm going to go through a few pictures here for you guys. Just some of the St. John stuff, and then we'll jump into Florida stuff. Here is Bound to Be. Bound. Yeah, that's
Bound
right.
to be,
yeah,
yeah.
well,
He was
that's
a real,
cool.
real nice little horse.
He had the
Yeah.
track record the night that he won the Earl Avery in Woodstock. He got the track record that
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, he set the track record 2 minutes and 4/5.
Yeah.
There he is there. Okay, let's go.
He was a
into
pretty
some-
little horse too.
I get to drive him a lot when I was working for Steve. When he'd go to Fredericton, he'd send him up to Fredericton on Wednesday nights to fill the top class up there. We used to race against him, against like Mabu River Lady and those ones. And it was, for me, it was quite a charge because the horses that I was used to driving was like, I hope I can get a fifth. And he was like 1-2 every week we were up there. So he was just like driving a car, that guy.
Yeah, he was real nice.
Yeah. I even got to drive him one night in Florida. They had the 7-hole. I remember that race good. Stevie said he's best to just roll him right off the front. He says, and going to give me what would be work for him. Freddie Grant had the 8-hole, and he left too. I parked Freddie all the way. We finished back, both of us, and coming in the paddock, and somebody said to Freddie Grant, "Where are you going next?" It was the end of the meet. Freddie said, "Somewhere they can drive because they can't drive here." I looked over at him and I said, "I was on the inside." He used to be, he was up at the shed row. We became friends over the winter because he was at the other end of the barn we were at that time. So
Yeah.
So here we go with awards. This is 1977, I think it is. And that's, what did you win? You won something in 77. You won a ton of awards. Let's see what you, I don't know what it was.
Percentage.
Okay, percentage, yeah. I got all his awards.
Stevie Mason was rookie, and Francis was wins, and Stephen was percentage.
Yeah, because Francis will win nonstop. Yeah. Let's see what else we have. I got a whole bunch here. I'm just trying to. I don't know what horse this is here. You might be able to. Someone might be able to break that one down for me there.
That's Susan Barrio and I, but I don't know what horse it is.
Okay, is that maybe that isn't EPR? That might not be EPR. I don't think.
Yes,
no,
it's
EPR.
Yeah,
Yeah, top of the white fence. Yeah. Okay. Oh, here's a cool one here. I like this picture. This is good. One second. There. Nope. This one. Coming back. Here we go.
That's Astor Smoke there, isn't it?
Looks like him.
Yeah, I
The
think
little
so.
head.
I'm pretty sure. I think I've got that article somewhere. So
Yeah.
that Peter Crosby used to write an article almost
Yeah.
a couple times a month. He did a great job. So
Yes,
Yeah.
he did. Yeah.
We have that. So let's. We got all the stuff here. I'll put a lot of these pictures up for everybody on the site anyway. They've seen a lot of these pictures because I put a lot of them up. Let's jump into basically. I'm going to go into my formats. I think I skipped a whole bunch. Just give me 1 second here. No, talk about the horses. Yeah, no. So let's talk about, like, you guys went to Florida. So you guys both went together. So what made you go to Florida, Steve?
Well,
From the States.
when I went to work for Albert Goodine, he owned Olive Spring Farms, and the reason I went to work for him, Phil Sowers had his horses, and I think he's broke his arm or whatever. So they asked me if I'd come over and help him train and so on. He had Bound to Be and some of them there. And later on, I drove some of the horses for him. And later on, he wanted to know if I'd go to Florida. And we went to a couple of sales, and he had a couple that he raised, and he bought some, and we had like 10 horses. So we had 2 trucks and 2 trailers, and away we go with 10 horses.
Albert and his father.
Albert and his father owned the
Gerald.
horses.
Yeah. Albert Innes and Gerald and Anna
Yeah.
Goodine.
So
So
that's how I ended up going there.
And Sam and my brother Joe had just got out of school, and they thought it'd be great to go to Florida for the winter.
Yeah, well.
yeah, we just graduated, and that's what Joey. He came to me and said to his brother, he said, "Listen, there's a chance to go to Florida." He says, "He's looking for a couple grooms. You ready?" So we loaded up and away we went. So
They both like to drive a little, and they like the horses, and so they thought it was a dream come true to go to
Oh, yeah.
Florida. But
Get to go to Florida for winter. And
yeah,
work, yeah.
spring coming, Joe got a real job.
he came home, and his time with the horses was up. So
Yeah.
He got his license and drove a couple times, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some of the actually you gave me some of that stuff. Why I think it was in the scrapbook of him
Yeah.
driving some.
Yeah,
Here's
I
a
have a scrapbook of 'em.
here's a picture right here of Twila and Steve training. This is the one you gave me, Twila.
Yeah.
And was that in Pompano?
That was in Pompano, and Sam, you know that chestnut horse. You liked him a lot.
the big horse there, there was, but the
Melvin's-
little one, was that
Melvin's Wall,
police
wasn't
horse
he?
that you had?
I
What?
had special escort.
Special escort.
Yeah,
So,
Buster Poley's horse.
yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So we can just kind of go through just a bunch of different things. You know, when you guys gave me them tapes, I taped the Pompano stuff and I lost it.
Hmm.
It's just, you know what? No, I didn't lose. I guarantee I didn't lose it. You know when I'll find it? in like 2 days when I'm done recording, it's like, oh, there it all is back there somewheres.
Yeah.
Another fellow that worked, that came to work with us the first year down there was a fellow from Fredericton, John Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John was a good guy, and I remember John one time we were, didn't do a whole lot of training. We were just kind of getting into it or whatever. And Stevie said, we're going to train these three together. John and I coaxed something up. We said, well, we're going to show Stevie how to drive. He says, we're going to get him to front in. So one went front, and as soon as I got there, John come and he laid outside of Stevie and getting through the lane. Stevie says, okay, move over. I'll just scoot through. John goes, no, you got yourself in there. You get out. He was always trying to do something like that. Like, he just, we had a lot of fun that winter. He went on to Foxborough that summer and worked for us for a while too. So.
Yeah,
he did.
yeah. We used to leave there and come back to Foxborough in the spring and stay there for like a month or two, and then when we come home. But yeah, John Tyler worked for us, and we raced. We did that for 2 or 3 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We have here a few pictures, and I'll just bring them up. And we actually have the names of the horses now. I got a full screen to see it. This one here is. Yes, it is. Yeah, July 30th, 1979.
Yeah, my girls were just little.
Yeah.
What horse is that again?
Half Throttle, remember him?
Oh, Half Throttle, the big horse.
He had paid quite a bit for, and I think they got him a bit on that one.
He came with Johnny Bruss.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was thrown in. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had one horse that he bought from New Zealand. His name was Counterfeit N. They gave $50,000 for him, and he wasn't worth 5 cents.
That's the one
he lived up to his name.
That's the one they were.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the Counterfeit N, and the other horse that came with him. I went to New York that time to pick them up.
Bride and Chief.
No, it was a Nice and Easy A.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I unloaded the horses off the plane, and the girl that flew over with them, I said, which is the good horse? And she goes, this one here is. And I said, oh, that's the one they paid all the money for, is it? And she goes, no. This is the one they threw in, and he's a lot better than the one they paid all the money for.
Yeah. It's really something, Scott, when you go to pick them up off the plane. Like Sam went, and Stephen and I would go, and you can get right on the plane with them, and then they unload them, and it's nice to go and see how it's all done.
It's crazy, yeah. Like I remember here, after doing all the research, like learning now about that, but that they're flying horses in from New Zealand. That's how big the game was back then.
Yeah,
they had that kind of money to do that.
I have an interest. Bought a lot of horses from over there, but you get. I know they pay a lot of money, and some of them worth a nickel, and some of them you don't pay that much for, and they turn out good. But
exactly.
Yeah.
My grandfather bought Bull Brett for $50,000, and I'm pretty sure he regretted every dime of that horse being bought. He bought Scott Scottman for 30, and I think 25 or 30, and that was steep in the 70s. But I know I was joking with the guys. We were standing by the fence one day watching like this year, and we were talking with my grandfather and his horses. Yeah, and they said, "Well, there was Bull Brett." They just teased like there was Bull Brett. I was like, "Yeah, I spent a lot of money on Bull Brett," but that's it's the way it works. I got a buddy of mine that's kind of interested in maybe getting involved a little bit in the island. Like he wants to get a horse back into the island. I said, it's a great investment. If you want to do it, but it's a risk. You can spend a lot of money and, like you say, not get nothing, or you can spend hardly any money and get something great.
Yeah.
You have to look at this game as if you're getting in it because you like it. Don't be getting in it thinking you're going to make money, because it's
no.
Yeah,
there's very, very few that made money in it. You just got to have the love of it. So
it's got to be money that you can afford to lose.
Yeah.
This guy can afford to lose it. He's got money.
You're talking about money. I remember, Steve, it was you and I and John were in the paddock. And there was this guy from New York. I forget his name now. I know he went on to be a pretty good trainer. But every night we were coming in the paddock, and every horse we had was like a new cooler. And he said, I was looking at the lines on your horses, and he had Gideon Labelle there. Yeah. And he says, this horse has got 15 starts, and he's got 8 wins, and you've got like $2,000 made. And Steve started kind of giving him the stories, and he was buying into it. And the more he bought into it, the wilder Steve's story got. He got to him and he says, he says, we get a blanket and we get a bag of oats sometimes and a little bit of money. And then he started telling him, Steve said, you should see our start gate. He says, it's a convertible with 2 oars with the numbers painted on the guy in the back of the car.
Oh my God, that's great.
This guy, he's eating it right up. Stevie and John, they were just loving it. So yeah, it was it's things like that you did, and you just, it's nothing to it, but it was a lot of fun doing, meeting people, and so we always seem to be on the right end of the jokes. So
yeah.
I got a funny thing. Oh, sorry, Twila, go ahead.
I think he's had a lot of fun too with Billy Robertson.
Oh, Billy, yeah.
Yeah, Ronnie's son. Like, he was there for a little while, and we had a lot of Philip Morris. He was.
There was a few of them that couldn't handle getting out of the little cities. So
Yes.
Yeah.
There were. Yeah,
But,
some of them it was a learning experience when
Yeah.
they went to the big show and seen what it was like.
Sometimes I had to fire them and hire them back the next day.
Yeah. I don't know how many times you fired Randy.
yeah, no, it was quite a few. That's what I said to Randy one time. I said, "You're getting fired and hired." I said, "I worked for the man for 4 years," and I said, "We never even had an argument." I said, "I only remember one day missing work." I said, "I don't know if you remember." I said, "We were in Foxborough, and I said they had changed the race date from Monday to Sunday, and we all decided let's just work Sunday, and we'll take Monday off." Well, I didn't show up the first Sunday we were supposed to. I said I'd never missed a day before. I said slept right through the whole day. Woke up around supper time. Said, he says, "Well, now I know why you want to take work Sunday."
I have a funny little thing here that I found. I don't think it has anything to do with any of the places we were at, but I popped it in. This came with all the stuff you guys gave me, and I just find this amusing. I think I showed it another one. It's the one where they're offering you export cigarettes for being a good sportsman. And I just laughed at that. I was thinking, like, here's a pack of smokes for being a good boy. Like, I just thought I don't know if you guys remember that, like where that came from, but I just found it funny.
Was it from CFBC?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
HFJ or one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But back then the cigarette companies were big sponsors of everything.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
I know when we raced with the Rothmans, they held a big conference in at the Holiday Inn. It was at Haymarket Square, and they had cigarettes everywhere, and they had a big conference, and they were interviewing everybody, and I had a couple of horses that I drove in it, and so I went into it. But
cigarettes and the liquor companies. Johnny Randon had big liquor, always promoting, sponsoring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just found that I remember seeing that when I originally got that stuff from you guys. I was laughing really hard. My girlfriend was standing next to us. Look at this.
He
and I
was the
hated
only
it.
one. He was the only one that smoked. Like,
Okay.
we didn't.
I think a lot of everybody smoked back then. Well, most of them did. All right, so I'm going to jump into another. I'm just going to click on pictures. So I don't know who these pictures are. We'll just see when it comes up. So let's see the next one. This one is...
That's Foxborough, and Mark Beckwith has the horse by the head. His son now, Brett Beckwith, is driving in New York, and it's just me and the girls and another friend of ours, Wayne Watson's, Tinky Watson's sister-in-law is in that picture.
Okay.
Yeah. Bunny
that
Hamill.
That
was
was
in Foxborough, and is that bound to be? No, that's not bound.
No, it's Amber Usher.
Amber Usher, yeah. But Mark Beckwith has him by the head.
August 18th, 1979. That's so Foxborough, that was a pretty big deal too. Like back in the 70s, that was a huge racetrack, was it not? Foxborough?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Our youngest daughter was in kindergarten then.
Okay.
In that year. Yeah.
So like you guys, I know, would you you moved to Florida for a bit? Would you just rent places when you go there? Like when you moved to Florida for the winter, or
Albert had a place.
the first year we were there, we rented.
We rented.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he bought a trailer, a mobile home.
Yeah.
And we lived in the mobile home.
Him and Ines bought that, and that's where we lived. The first year we went down. I went with my two little girls in my brother's truck with no cell phone or anything, and drove down, and we didn't even have a place to live. When I got there, I stayed with Ross Millett, and we found a place to live, and then the rest of the crew followed along.
Yeah.
yeah. Now we think going to Charlottetown's a big trip.
They take the ton truck with 4 horses in it and a 2-horse trailer behind the ton truck. And
20 some hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Drive right through.
Yeah, you're gonna switch back and forth and rest and keep right on going. But by the time we got about 3/4 away, it was getting weary looking.
Yeah.
There was one year we went down on Walter Wynn and he was taking some horses down for a guy on the island.
Did you go that? Yeah, you went
Yeah,
that
he
year.
went that
Yeah, well, yeah.
Anyway, Walter was scared to cross a bridge. So when we come to a bridge, he started flashing lights. He was behind us. He started flashing lights, so I had to stop, and Junior would get out and drive his truck over the bridge. And then we'd get back together and go again until we come to another bridge. But he was scared to death of a bridge.
He's not now. He trucks horses for a living. He's not now.
Well, and the best part was when he was going to kill me when we got to New Jersey, because I was driving our truck and we're coming to the George Washington Bridge. He's flashing the lights. Stevie says, "We can't stop here. We got to keep going." He's going to have to make his own way across the bridge. We got
5
across
lanes
into
of
New
traffic.
Jersey and stopped at the next truck stop, and he was just a bootner coming after me.
Thank God we're all still good friends.
Oh yeah.
So let's jump into that.
Yeah, and if you can survive a trip down there, down the East Coast with Walter following you, can survive anything. So.
Yeah.
Let's throw in. I'm trying to find here. I'm sure they're bigger. I'm going to show another picture again, just to let's see what we got here. No Angel. This would have been Monticello, 83.
Yeah,
That's
that was just a horse that I catch drove for a guy.
Okay.
I think that he had
Larry Rolla.
that Larry. Yeah, not Larry Rolla.
Yeah, that's his brother's horse.
Yeah.
Peter Rolla.
He owned 2 horses, and
But that's who you got your 1,000 to win.
yeah. He had one pacer that he turned to a trotter, and he just kept win, and I'd win a lot of races with them horses.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not going to ask. I know what catch drives are now. Didn't know what catch drives were about a year and a half ago, but I watched about 10,000 races and finally figured out what it meant. So, all right, let's grab another picture here. And again, let's just see. Actually, you know what? I'm going to click on this and we'll see what it is. Was this a barn area? I think, what, in Pompano?
This is in Pompano, and that was a picture I given you. That's we just had the ice cream truck guy come through, and we were all sitting around having an ice cream. I said that there was Stevie's there in the coveralls. Yeah. I can't tell who the person is standing in front of him, but then it's old Jim with his back here with the hat. He used to jog for us.
From New York.
And then Albert and Giro sitting on the trunk there.
Yeah.
That was our shed row in Florida where all the horses were. So.
And we have this one here. Is this Steve curling?
Yeah, this is Steve's other sport, other than harness racing, curling. So.
We just have a thing over here.
Golf.
Yeah.
But you do curl, so you are into curling.
No. We went once a year.
Yeah, once a year. We used to have a horseman's blood spiel.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have. I'm going to grab. Here's a nice one here.
They used to let us use the ice the very last night before they took it out because they figured it would get damaged. So.
Here's one here. Bound to be Pompano, March of 79. March 12th, 1979. We have that one. We have another one. This is also something you gave me, Sam, right there.
Yeah, this is Steve showing that he did part of the work down there too. So that's Hold Him by the Head was another fellow that was a character and a half from the island, Bernie the Banker.
Bernie the Banker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that picture.
He'd go to the races and he'd take the last 3 numbers off a speedometer, or he'd see a license plate ahead of him and he'd take the numbers off of that, and he used to catch some big tri-actors.
Yeah,
he bet those numbers.
Yeah. One night he came there and he had a big one, like you said, and I said, "Well, how'd you get that number?" That was the last three numbers on the receipt tonight when I took my wife to McDonald's before I come to the races. So
yeah.
We have
Randy and him became real good friends because he'd sponsor Randy until Randy can't.
Yeah.
We have Bound to Be in Foxborough. This one's coming up. It's a nice little picture there. So you got your new colors. When did you switch to them colors, Steve?
Well, when I went to work for Goodines, all the Spring Farms, their colors were the colors I have now.
Okay.
And they asked me if I'd switch, and they'd buy me all my driving suits, and we bought trunks and all that. And anyway, so that's how I ended up going with that color.
That photo there was actually your very first night of driving with the new colors on.
With the new colors on, it was. You're right.
That helmet was my helmet because I had the brown and gold, and you didn't have yours painted yet. So I'd given you my helmet that night. So if he gets in on that, he has the JR on the maple leaf of the helmet. So he win that night with that horse too.
Yeah.
Now, if you see your colors, if you look at the names, it's similar to your color, I think. I got as close as I could to your colors on the way the names are highlighted on the podcast. I don't know if you noticed that or not. I came close enough. I don't know. But okay. So here's another thing, and this is just basically, let's see. There's a picture here.
That's Monticello.
Monticello, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it must have been a driver challenge you were in.
It was a driver challenge, and I think it was Casey was there, Billy O'Donnell,
Hervé
Fillion, yeah, he was there.
I think there was 4 people from the Meadowlands and 4 people from Yonkers, or from Monticello.
Yeah, because Case was there the same time you were there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but another one here.
That's Foxborough.
Okay.
And those drivers there's Billy O'Donnell, Walter Case, Jimmy Daugherty, Stephen, Bob Tisbett, Steve LeBlanc, and Johnny Marshall. And the first guy, I don't know. I want to say it's Teddy Wing, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been late 70s.
Yeah, I zoomed it up. It is Teddy Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right on there.
So then, like, you guys are in Florida. You're coming back down here in the summer, Stephen. When do you start just coming back to St. John, like, regularly? Because then you're here year-round. When does that start happening?
Well, I think we went to Pompano, probably.
It was 77?
Yeah, well, 78, 79 was our first winter down there.
Yeah, I think we were there 5 or 6 years.
We went there. Bonnie was in kindergarten, and about 7 years. 7 years.
Yeah. So then after that, I used to come back and go to Foxborough, and then one day I was at the barn, and a guy come to me and he said, "Would you be interested in coming to Monticello?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." He said, "I think your horses would fit real good there." So anyway, we decided to go to Monticello instead of going to Foxborough.
Yeah.
And when I went there, my horses were all ready, and they hadn't been racing there. They don't start racing there until March. And so when I got there, my horses were just winning like crazies. So then they all jumped the bandwagon. Will you drive mine? Will you drive mine?
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up doing so good there, because, I was down to drive like 5 or 6 horses in every race, just pick the one you want, sort of thing. But anyway, it all turned out for the better.
So you come back. Well, you're here in 81, because we're going to show the video here in a second of Henry Butler. Now, I don't know where I remember hearing this. I remember you saying it, but I don't know where you said it. Was Henry Butler a little bit? Was he difficult? I think was that the horse that was difficult?
Yeah. He was. He used to grab on quite a bit and get in one line real bad, and he had a bad back, and he used to run down behind, which gets down in fetlocks behind, and they'd bleed and stuff like that. We had a lot of problems. We used to get acupuncture done to him and stuff like that. And
that acupuncture used to get done in Florida. That was the neatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the needles, they were like 12 inches.
It only worked for a day or so, but would it ever make a difference?
Well, I'm going to bring it up there in a second. I want to bring up the Gold Cup because I have that video here. And I noticed watching this video, because I had gone through and checked everything before we started. His head's going all over the place at the end when he's winning. I don't know if it's the crowd that's freaking him out or what the deal is, but I'm going to bring it up right now, and then we'll come back, talk about it, bring some pictures up. But I have it right here. It's just, maybe it's just me thinking that, but he doesn't look right at the end. He wins, but he doesn't look right at the end. So here it is. It's the Gold Cup of Saucer 1981. It's the last quarter when it ever decides to pop up, which eventually it will. Oh, there we are.
Reward from 6 pennant place, All's Pride, Coeco Trails. They go by the 3/4, Henry Butler on the outside to the top. Umbro Ultrasonic racing in 2 from 3, Timely Robin. Pennant play on the outside in 4. It's Henry Butler to the 7/8. 1:30 by the 3/4. It's Henry Butler off the 7/8 turn. Umbro Ultrasonic racing 2. Here comes All's Pride on the outside. Henry Butler. Umbro Ultrasonic, it's Henry Butler, Umbro Ultrasonic, Soul's Pride on the outside, gonna be Henry Butler, Soul's Pride, Umbro Ultrasonic, Coeco, Pin and Play, Special Reward, Saunders Glory, and Timely Robin. Henry Butler winning the Gold Cup and Salsa race here at the driving club for 1981.
So there we go. It looks like it's just me.
I think it was just a camera or whatever.
I think it's just your video. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought his head was going back and forth for some reason. I didn't know if it was just must have been the video. That's gonna freak.
Even then, Scott, like we would go to Florida in the winter, and you know, some years we went to Monticello, some years we went to Foxborough, but some summers we came home, and then in the fall we'd go back to Florida.
Yeah.
Even if we weren't home to stay.
Yeah, that was the last year I worked with Steve, and we came home right to St. John that summer, and then we raced around, and we had a real good year to end off with, and especially with the Gold Cup and Saucers. So
we took 4 or 5 horses to the island.
We took more than that, I think, wasn't it?
We took about 5. We took about 5, and
I think we took 5.
I remember we had
Gideon and Mary and
Ambro Usher, Henry,
and Branca.
And Branca.
Yeah. We took all them horses over there, and every one of them win. Yeah. And some of them win a couple of times. And we won the Premier Space. I think it was the Premier Space. It was one of them bigger races.
It was the night before the Gold.
And we raced in 2 of the eliminations. We won 1 and was second in the other one. And then the Gold Cup consolation, Gideon Labelle won that, and Henry won.
Be interesting to get some of that video. Yeah.
And I think Misty Hill Mary won the mare's race.
Yeah.
And I think that's 81. And
that was 81. Yeah. It was quite a week. It was like every time we raced one, we win. So like you say, every horse that we took that week win at least one race. So
yeah.
I think my father actually. I think my father went over there that year for a stake. It was either 80 or 81 because Nick Oakes found a video. It's just a long story. Russell got me all worked up. That's the race callers.
When we went over, we didn't have anybody working with us, and I took Billy Robinson. That's where he started there. He came over and stayed the week with me at the cabin I had, and he helped me all week for his board. So by the time he left, we figured we made him into an alcoholic. So
anyway, we won the race, and the owners weren't expecting it, and they had no booze, so they had to go to the bootleggers and try to buy up all the booze that's around.
Yeah, that's a good one too. That's very good. My favorite one of my favorite races of all time is coming up here in a little bit. I'm going to show a quick picture. This one here is obviously Gold Cup right when you win it. Real nice picture that Sam sent me today also, which I like this one a lot, Sam.
Yeah, I like that picture.
Yeah, that's real nice.
Yeah. Henry wasn't always the easiest horse to walk or control even after the race. Like Sam could hold on to him and control him, but I just figured he was going to mow everybody down.
He ended up, it was surprising. He get in there in the middle of, there was hundreds of people around in the winner's circle back in them days. And they had it roped off so the horse could get in. And people were just everywhere. And he stood there just like, I think he was kind of in total amazement of all the people because he never moved a muscle. And it seemed like we were in the winner's circle for an hour. So
yeah, and he wasn't like that. He had no patience to stand around or.
Yeah, usually you had 10 seconds, get your picture taken, and hang on. So
yeah.
I know the Marcel one. When I did Marcel's podcast, we did his Gold Cup, and like they were on the track, like just hundreds of people.
Yeah,
like, this horse could.
Too. Yeah,
like how like it's crazy. Like these are horses that could like trample you. Maybe stay out of the way. I could just be nuts, but they changed it now. Obviously, they got it done properly now. But Let's see.
Well, they used to have for years. They used to have the barricades in the center field, and people would run as the race was going on, jump the fence, and get into the center field to watch the race. So
that's nuts.
Yeah.
Like I get like if you're on the other side of the track, I don't even being in the center field amazes me because what if a horse gets loose? That could be crazy, but
most people on Gold Cup night, they weren't feeling any worries. So
No.
well, yeah, exactly. I'm going to my first Gold Cup this year. I've never been to the Gold Cup live. I'm going to my first one this year, so I'm pretty excited. My friend are going. It's her first ever harness racing car she's ever been to in her life. I said, "Well, it's a good one to pick because
I was there like 25 years in a row."
Yeah.
I've never been. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time.
We've been to the Little Brown Jug and to lots of Gold Cup and Saucers, and I'd rather go to the Gold Cup and Saucer anytime. The Brown Jug's nice, but I prefer the Gold Cup and when they put the spotlight on the horses and they sing the hymn. Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. Looking forward. I bring actually a few of my friends are coming. They've never been they're not harness people, but I said you'll have a blast, get them hooked, and then we'll start getting down to EPR and say minimum $300 you're spending at the bar at the track. So we're gonna jump into like God, I don't want to hop over too much. Honestly, Sam, I'm gonna do something for you. I'm gonna leave it to you, let you get a little work in here. You guys talked with some horses from 81 to 84. I'm a blank. I'm a total blank when it comes to that range. So do you guys have an idea like what horses? And you talk, I'm grabbing some water, so bear with me. I'm here, just getting some water.
When was like Briggs's horses and Spudland Sequoia and
well, you were in Monticello. That was the summer of '82 when you moved there. So you were there what, 1 year?
No, I was there 3 years, I think.
Yeah, because the last 2 years Casey was there.
Yeah.
With us.
Okay.
Yeah. And the last year we moved home before school started.
When the kids started high school, that's when I stopped going traveling.
Okay.
That year we came home, that last year.
Yeah.
Because Casey
I always remember when Bonnie went, it was in grade 1 when she's in Florida?
Yeah.
She came home there and she had made a new friend. She said, George Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, George Washington. I said, well, they're original down here anyway. So.
Yeah. They really, and like Scott probably doesn't know that. A lot of people would know that about us, but our girls would start school in St. John, then they'd leave in October, the first part of November, go to school in Florida, and then they would leave Florida in April and come home and finish school at home or Foxborough or Monticello, wherever.
That's going to be a big adjustment for them every year to do that.
They were
They
straight
said that was
A's.
their best.
Yeah, the best education we could have given them. They were both straight A students, and they're both smart girls.
Right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just they probably made a lot of friends then because they met a lot of people.
They looked forward to meeting to seeing their same friends when they go to Florida because we lived in the same place. They went to the same school, so they had sets of friends that they looked forward to.
That's awesome.
You made a lot of friends over those years that you could meet anywhere. Like you say that, and like you say, as far as the kids were, it made them very, very social as far as like watching them grow up. So
and like the guys at the barn, they were their friends. They thought the world of going to the barn and seeing them. And in Pompano, they weren't allowed to go to the races, only on Saturday morning to watch qualifiers. Was the only time. But they could go into the backstretch to feed at supper time. So they could go with their father or whatever to feed. But, the guys were at our place all the time for dinners and Christmas dinner. And,
I think every year, I don't think we ever missed a Christmas dinner when I was down there. So
Yeah.
We became all like family. So and we're also when you were in Florida, everybody that came from home always came and looked you up, and then they wanted you to kind of take them here or take them there, and show us around. So we became kind of, I don't know, like the social club, like,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so if anybody wanted to come to Florida, they want to jog a horse or muck a horse or do something. And then, well, what are you doing today? Where are we going today?
Yeah.
So, no, that's great. And that's really cool. I noticed that. Well, I mean, even for me, not being around for all them years, I grew up and kind of was away from the racetrack. And when I came back down a lot this year, like doing 50-50, and all the guys in the barns remember me when I was like a little kid. I'm like,
well, it's funny, Scott. The other night, our oldest daughter was here, and she said she remembered babysitting you and your sister for your mother. So
yeah, they're always very close knit. It's very cool.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
It is.
So we ended up. I opened up public stable.
Yeah.
After that, after we came home, that was when the kids started high school. Always had quite a few horses.
One of the big horses was a Gemini Risk that you had, Steve, back then?
Yeah, I never had him. Donnie Gilbreth had him, and Courtney Bay, and mother real Gemini Jewel, and I just drove for him.
Behind you. Is that Jewel?
No, that's.
Yeah. Well, one of your key horses that was your own was King Tyler was one of them.
Oh,
yeah.
They were real nice horses. And that's when I ended up kind of going back to work for him because I was shoeing then. So then I ended up picking up shoeing for Steve. So I said I ended up getting back to work for him again. So
yeah. Albert always kind of kept a couple of nice horses around. He had that Mamaronic and King Tyler and a few other ones that were pretty nice horses.
We got a fun little one right here. We'll jump right into the Alexander because this is honestly, from what I remember, probably my second favorite race. My favorite race of all time I can't find is Provincial Cup 85. But I love the Alexander 85. This is one where you're racing with Gemini Risk. And I'm not just saying this as you're on the podcast. And I actually should have clipped it a little better because there's a part, if you watch this, like you remember the race, but if someone's watching this race and they tell you Steve Mahar's going to win this race, at one point it was like there's no way in hell he's winning this race the way you're sitting. But it's an incredible drive. So I'm going to throw this up real quick. This is Alexander Memorial 1985 with Gemini Risk. And I think it's one of the best finishes that I've ever seen. So we're going to put it at the 3, around a little bit over the halfway point. That's the way I do it. And then we'll have like at the end, it's going to have like the, you're going back to winner's circle and stuff like that. So we're going to bring it up. It's probably going to take a second or so to load up for me because I was telling Sam my computer is ready to die, but we're like, it's just in general. So we're getting through it. That's a good thing.
Accolade the leader, Angel Shadow. Gemini Risk is back to third. Locksmart Yoga coming up on the inside. He's now fourth. Then the Ruckus and GT's Bird, they come swinging for home. Winners Accolade and Angel Shadow and Gemini Risk. It is Winners Accolade on the inside. Gemini Risk coming up on the outside. Angel Shadow between them, and here they are to the wire. 3 of them neck and neck. It's too tight to call. And we'll need a photo. Then it was Locksmont Yoga, GT's Bird, and Ruckus. And the time for the mile, 2 minutes and 2/5. After rating now, the winner of the Alexander Memorial. Number 2, Gemini Risk. Bay Pacing Horse, 5 years, by Irish Baron from Harvey's Jewel.
And there we go with that. So
I
was amazed. Go ahead.
Remember that race? Jerry Lowe said we didn't really think they had a great shot. There were some nice horses in there. And Jerry Lowe said, if you win that race, I'll take you all to Grannon's. So we all went to Grannon's. We got anything we wanted.
So let me ask you that. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think we spent all the money that he made. Like we went for 10,000.
My question with that is like that finish it's super, super close. And I mean, you being a racer, and Sam, you can confess this too. Like I'm looking at that with like I'm seeing it from that view. Like if I see that race for the first time, I don't know who wins that race at the end. When you're in the race scene, you have a pretty good idea when the race ends. Like at that race, if you remember, did you have a pretty good idea that you won right when that happened?
Probably 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a photo back? Go ahead.
There's always a chance that you're not right, but most of the time I can tell.
So do you ever get a photo back and just be like, "Are you serious? Like I finished second?" Like that's probably happened before, where you photo finish and you finish second. You think there's no way I finished first.
No, a lot of times, like in Woodstock,
Now,
I
Scott,
never had no photo finish, and I used to take my horse right back to the winner's circle. I don't know if I won or not, but they gave me the cooler.
What were you saying there, Sam?
Yeah, but that's we joke about that because we always say there never used to be a photo finish rule. It goes by Steve Mahar rule. First guy pulled up and back to the winner's circle wins the photo. One day, Timmy Merzetti and I battled right down the wire, and Timmy beat me by about a good head. I said, Timmy, I'm going to pull up first because I'm going to tell them I won. I think he set his horse just about right on his butt to pull up. He says, "You're not beating me back there." Steve said first on both wins.
That's great. That's awesome. I have the winner's circle picture from that too, for the Alexander. Here it is right here.
Yeah.
Everyone's there. And I think his wife still, she was like, I think Ingham said I didn't have that. She was like 93 or something at the time.
Yes, Mrs. Alexander, yes.
Yeah. So
that horse was a real nice horse. He got a lot of quick speed off the gate, and he was the first maritime bred to go under 2 minutes.
I heard. Yep, I didn't mention that in your stats, but that was there. Yeah. So you guys,
he broke the track record in Bangor.
Yep, we'll get to that in a couple seconds too. I have a video for that. Now you guys, like I think it was you and Wally would randomly drive him, would you not? How did that work?
Well, I think Wally was driving him most of the time, and he was a couple of horses from Moncton that came in that he started driving, so kind of he couldn't drive both. So Donnie asked me if I'd start driving, so I ended up driving most of Donnie's after that.
And I wanted to bring up real quick, kind of off topic of this, but Earl Smith passed away last week, and we all know that. I'm doing a little. You'll see a video of it at the first of the podcast. I'm going to make up. Any memories from both, like Sam and Steve and Twila? Like, any memories of Earl Smith that you want to share before we go into the next part there?
We got to talk to Earl about a month ago. He was here for a stake race, and we happened to be over in the barn area that day, and we're really glad that we did. We had the chance to see him. We hadn't seen him in a few years, and it was good to catch up. And he told us that he had 6 horses or something. He was going to slow down some, and but him and Steven battled a lot. And it was stake races. Yeah.
We were always good friends, and we drove in a lot of races together, stake races.
Yeah.
There was one pair of colts one year. It was just like it seemed like every night you were 1-2, 2-1, 1-2.
Yeah.
It was when he had that Grampy horse.
Grampy's winner.
It was Dave McDonald's.
Yeah.
And you had Gordon Shumway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like night after night, like it was either 1-2 or 2-1. Like yeah. Whoever made the front, that was it. The other guy was out. So
yeah.
Now Earl was he was around for a long time, like in the stake program. He battled with everybody. There wouldn't be anybody that didn't race against Earl that raced a horse anywhere. So
that's right.
He was a hard worker and run a nice outfit.
And he had a lot of stake horses. He didn't just have one. He had 3 or 4 every year. Me, I just catch drove. I never really had anything. I had one back a few years ago that Brian McLean looked after, Colony Star. She was one of the first ones that we raced in stakes, and she won a lot of stake races. But that was way back, quite a while ago.
I just thought I'd mention it there because I know.
Albert and stuff. I said I think our top stake horse back the Lancashires was old Kickback Dick.
Yeah.
He was always a go-getter. He was another one of those ones. I remember the night in Truro, and you were way out in front, and they used to have the lights of the wire hang right over.
Yeah.
They turned them on for the photo finish. Steve barely got him through the lights to end up winning the race. He was coming right to a grinding halt when it's like
he was on top by 5 and just got there. I almost had to push him over the wire.
Yeah, they turned those lights on. He was pretty sure that was a wall.
Yeah, he had another nice horse, but he sold him right after it. Remember that On the Engine?
Oh, he was a nice
on
horse.
the engine.
Yeah, he went on the island in 56 or something. But
he was a real nice horse.
Yeah.
So.
He sold him right
talking about lights. I said I remember the night going back to Florida that we had Bound to Be was in like the last race of the night, getting back to our old buddy the paddock judge, And I got to the paddock, and I was like a couple minutes late. The paddock judge says, "Where were you at?" And I said, "Oh, I was warming up in the back track." He says, "For all you're going to get, you should have stayed in the back track." Well, he win. By the time we got back from the winner's circle, he was gone. So I walk in the next night, and I'm walking in the horse. I said to him, I said, "They pay good purses on the back track too?" I thought the man's head was going to blow off. He took to screaming at me and told me this and that. And, "You better shut up and I'll run you out of town." It's like no sense of humor at all. So,
Oh, he had no sense of humor, did he?
well, and of course, every time I turned around, I just happened to be saying the wrong thing to him. He was screaming hard at me most of the winter. So
Yeah.
I always thought it was for fun, but he didn't take it. He was a transplanted Maritimer who didn't want anybody to know. He wanted everybody to think he was American. So
Yeah.
I have a cool little picture here. I showed this before, but the Family Feud it's coming up. There it is. Do you remember this? Sam or Steve or Twila? They had this little contest. I guess you guys maybe points. You and your brother were in it, Steve, and Bill Nicholson Jr. and Senior. We were like 80.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Was Bobby Stevenson and Mike in it? No, Marcel and Jill.
no, yeah, Marcel and Jill and Jody and Wally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Bill Senior and Bill Jr. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but just points must have been points. It's kind of.
It was just kind of a little fun thing they try and do. Always trying to kind of get the crowd into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the driving competition that just went on the island, but it was just kind of a little, because they used to have those, and we used to have Maine against St. John, and then Halifax against St. John. They'd bring them up or go down there. Tracks used to be a big drawing card, so some kind of a driver competition. So
Yeah.
So I have a fun video coming up right here. This is your 1500 win, Steve, in Bangor. It's a news thing of it. But then we also have Twila when she does the what was it? Oh goodness. Yes, and there was a little incident, I guess. We don't show the incident.
Oh, it was an incident.
You don't have that on.
No, we don't have the video of the accident. We just have the interview about it.
Yeah.
So it's about 2 minutes long. I'll throw that on. When we come back, you guys can kind of give
a whole bunch of us from home went down because Steve was getting his 1500th win that weekend, and we ended up spending half the weekend visiting Twila in the hospital. So
we'll get into it. We're going to find out the details. We're going to throw the video on first. I'm just going to find it here. And I got to be careful because I'm hovering right over your guys' camera. So here it is here. It's about 2 minutes. So, yeah, I'm just going to, I'll throw it on here, and then we'll be good here. It's just going to take its time probably. And here it comes right now.
People thought this would be his 1500th win. But as the Bass Park crowd looked on, Mahar went to the whip down the stretch.
Here comes Twila Mahar going for the 1500 win. He got it.
For the 38-year-old St. John native, this was a great moment. Only 200 other drivers in the country have won 1500. Fellow drivers were there for a handshake. Now remember, Mahar drove Gemini Risk to the track record last year. Right now, Mahar is the toast of the town in Bangor.
We have a tendency to think of harness racing when it looks like this. Steve Mahar driving to his 1500th career win. But horsemen think of it as being more like this. Rushing down another one, getting it ready to go. The Mahars, Steve and Twila, have been in the news lately. Twila broke her ankle in the powder puff race last week. Curiously enough, as we talked, the horse she was driving in that race, Wicked Zip, went zipping by.
Well, the horse just made a break, and it was just sort of a chain reaction.
Do you think you were going?
I didn't think I was at first. I thought I was going to miss it.
Twila has been around horses all her life. Steve has been driving almost 20 years. He has the leading driver rating at Bass Park this season, an honor he has won several times back home in St. John and once at Monticello.
You got to be up early in the morning, and you got to do all the things. And if your horse has a problem with his legs, you have to work on them, or he has any other problem, you have to work on them, and you have your horse in the best condition possible for each race.
This is Golden Fella, the horse that Steve's driving in the TV2 Pace tomorrow night. The program's got him in second place at 7-2, but I think he just might be a winner. As a matter of fact, the smart talk on the backstretch says Golden Fella is not the best in the feature tomorrow. But in the hands of Steve Mahar, you can bet he'll be in the hunt. By the way, Twila has a very severely broken ankle. They had to put a pin in it. She says she'd like to try a powder puff race again, but Steven says.
And there we go. It was a little bit lagging because we got a lot of things going on, but I can get clips of it later if you like. So you guys just go on and talk about that whole situation because
well, the horse I drove was Chicky Charlton's horse, English Colony with the free-legged horse. And so
the
that was
horse I drove was Chicky Charlton's
and
horse.
the horse that Twila drove, it was one of Chicky Charlton's horses. And I didn't have any. I think I might have been racing that night, but not in that race. So I said to everybody, I'm going to go over on the back stretch by the quarter pole, just in case they have a problem turning them and stuff, because some of the ladies never drove and stuff. So I went over there, and they said the horse on the rail was known to pull up.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I went over and they left out of there and just got around the first turn, and the horse wheeled in front of them, the one that pulled up, and he piled up the whole field, and they all went down, and she went up in the air, and what a mess. I went over and her bone was sticking out the side of her leg. And I said, "Oh, you're all right."
Yeah, you're all right. That's
it got caught in the stirrup and she got drugged, you know.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was a mess.
So was that? Yeah, that's like was it like an exhibition?
I didn't want her to go in it at first, but another girl in the office, something happened to her shoulder or something.
She separated
her shoulder, and so Twila said,
she wanted
to go in, and I didn't think she should, but she won't listen to me anyway.
Did she separate her shoulder driving? This woman?
No.
Okay. I was like, that would have been a sign that she separated her shoulder driving.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always seen that. It was funny with that video because I had gotten that from you guys and I uploaded it. And I was trying to find your thing, Twila. I was searching all over YouTube for it. And then I finally...
Accident?
No, the video like that it showed. I didn't know like the way I labeled it. I didn't know where yours was, but it was after Steve's video. That's what the thing was.
Yeah.
I searched everywhere. It was there the whole time right in front of me. So that was in Maine in '86. Let's take a look. I'm just going to go jump in my format here and see where we're at. We are 1,500 win. I'm just going to not talk. We're not going to show any accidents because, no one wants to see that kind of stuff. But
I've seen enough of them.
Yeah, like you've been in a few bad ones. I've seen one of yours. And actually, you were on a show called Noon Hour. Do you remember that, Twila and Steve? The Noon Hour show that he was on?
Yeah.
And they actually show it. They show the accident.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one, it looks like a bad one. I don't know. I think it's when you hurt your neck back in, was it 89 you hurt your neck? 89, 90?
I can't remember what year.
89. I think it was 89. Yeah. Labor Day.
Yeah. So, it's, that's why I always, and I don't try to suck up to anybody because I had two drivers sitting in front of me. 3. Like the amount of work that you guys do. You do well for yourselves, but it's a dangerous sport. There's a lot of hours people put into it. A lot of dangers involved in that. We all know that. And it's just, I give credit where credit's due for you guys because you wouldn't catch me dead doing it. I'll tell you right now. Crossed my mind. When I was like,
we made a deal after my debut was I'd drive the truck and he'd drive the horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know in his Hall of Fame speech, he mentions a lot about driving. You guys, that was something I'd ask later. I'll just bring it up now. You're driving like that, what say on a Saturday when you're in the Maritimes, you're doing St. John in the morning, in the afternoon, and drive to Moncton for night races sometimes?
Yeah, I used to drive 10 here in St. John and get in my car at 4:30 right after as soon as the races were over and be there for the first race and drive 10 more that night in Bangor.
Yeah.
But he'd have a little nap on the way.
You were working down there. I was driving myself.
Sometimes.
Twila worked at all the tracks down in Maine.
Yeah.
He was the clerk of the course and the
charter.
Yeah.
I remember us leaving here and going to Moncton and Stephen getting in the back of the truck and changing into his uniform, going down the street because he knew he just had time to hop on the bike.
Yeah. Wow. That's dedication. And that's people talk about it. This sport has some who are extremely dedicated. That's definitely it. Let's jump into Salsa Blue. That's one of your most famous horses. I got a few pictures and a few videos. I just want to let's talk about where Salsa Blue came from, your memories of Salsa Blue, stuff like that.
Huey bred him. He was a homebred Huey Beardhead, and Sean Shannon trained him.
Mm-hmm.
And he just Huey'd asked me to drive him when the stake started, and he just was phenomenal. He could do anything with him. He just relaxed when he got to the front, or he could leave 100 mile an hour. He just laid over them so much. You could put a bag of oats on him and he could have won. You know, he was just that kind of horse.
Would you go as far as saying that's your best horse you ever had?
He was probably the nicest horse I ever drove.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually will get right into it because I have a really cool video, which Twila actually found it for me. Because I was like, I told you I couldn't find his Salsa Blue videos, and like a minute and a half later, like my daughter found one on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, look at that. So I have two videos of Salsa Blue. This one is from I think it's Moncton, and you remember this race? We'll show it. It's only like 30 seconds long, and then we'll kind of talk about it. But I think it's like really bad weather. But I'll bring it up here. It tells you the race and everything once it pops up. I think it was shown on TSN.
I think there was a hurricane that night. If you look at the flags, you can see them blowing.
There it is. Yeah.
Stakes for 2-year-old pacing colts.
Down the stretch for home, he's still all alone. Seltzer Blue through the lane, opening up 10 lengths, racing to the wire. Seltzer Blue, look at the timer. Seltzer Blue, all alone, going for the Maritime record. Watch that timer. Seltzer Blue, 1:57.2.
Seltzer Blue was the winner, setting in Atlanta.
I mean, sorry to cut you off there, Steve. I cut you off right when you were talking. But yeah, the weather was pretty rough that night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a hurricane that night.
Yeah, and he broke a record.
It's funny that that particular day, Stevie Mason got married.
Okay.
And I stood up with him, and I said to him, "I'm leaving sometime through the ceremony because I got to go drive Seltzer Blue." He said, "What?" Anyway, yeah, it turned out that way.
That Salsa Blue horse, I said, I used to shoe Huey, and he told me the story hit. The mare that he was out of was a real bad knee knocker. So he decided he was going to breed to, at the time, a real big horse that stood completely opposite, was way more. He was as wide as a freight train.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, he missed the cycle or whatever, and Huey just said, I'll just breed him to the all horse quality blue chip. And so, I mean, he wasn't a planned thing. He just landed, and when he landed, he was real right from day one.
Yeah.
He had other things happen to him, too, that he got over that people didn't. He was come back from one of the stakers one night, and he was trailing with another horse. The other horse was thrashing or whatever and lost his shoe, and the shoe went in under the stall and was Salsa Blue, and he stood on it, and he had all the nails drove right up into the sole of his foot. We took, like, time cutting it out and rebuilding it and stuff. And this next race, like within a week, he was right back to himself again. Like it was just
he was just
things, you know, he was just one of those kind of horses that was just meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Huey bought that quality blue chip in New York. He come down and stayed with us in Monticello and went and bought the horse, brought him back to our barn. Were you there then, Sam, with us when he bought that horse? And he brought him back and stayed there and had his paperwork all done and everything and brought the horse home. And he was a good sire for Huey for years.
Yeah, it wasn't a very big horse, but
no. Yeah.
Here's old pictures, and we'll go back to Salsa Blue. Here's one where you smashed a dash record. When I think you're breaking records like in the 80s and 90s like crazy. We could be here. We could do a whole podcast on the records you break. So I mean, you're breaking a lot of records here. Let's see another clip here. I think this is 89. Did you say? Somewhere's around there.
I'm having a little trouble with everything's coming in and out here.
You good? Let me know. We can. What do you miss? Are you not seeing it, Sam? Or you're just not hearing us?
I don't think he's hearing you.
Yeah. Everybody's freezing up on my end.
Okay. Give me a second here. I'll just put like a little. So we had a little technical difficulty, but we're back. We were talking about. I think we were talking about Salsa Blue, were we not?
Yeah.
When we got. Yeah. Okay. So Steve was talking like you guys were talking about the incident, and then he just went on like nothing happened. A week later and won. He was undefeated in the Maritimes. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. He only raced here as a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he win like I think 12 or 13 in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. I would have
And
liked.
he sold him for what, around 100,000?
Yes.
Yeah. I would have liked to just cut loose sometime just to see how fast he could go, but you just don't do that thing. But
now this is Dairy Queen pace. I think it is right here. This one here. I think this is. Yeah. Well, what was it again, Twila?
That's Salsa Blue. That's Stephen and Peter Foy and Hazel Scarf, Huey Baird, and Salsa Blue and Sean Shannon.
There you go. And we have another one with a legend from EPR. That's with Jimmy Daugherty. Now, Jimmy drove him, did he not, in the Meadowlands? Or was it?
No.
John Campbell.
John Campbell. That's it. Yeah. John Campbell drives. So that's 89. So yeah, he's just like unbelievable. Then you're starting to go like kind of mixing up a little bit in 90, aren't you? See if you're going between Fredericton and St. John. Are you strictly Fredericton?
No, I used to go to Fredericton here in. We used to race Wednesdays and Saturdays here, Monday and Friday, or Monday and Thursday in Fredericton. So you used to be 4 tracks.
Yeah.
And Saturday night in Moncton.
Yeah, and Saturday night in Moncton.
Wow.
I kind of got screwed up in Moncton there. They didn't have horses there at one time, and they had to race like 4 or 5 races here and 4 or 5 in Moncton, so I couldn't be in both places.
Yeah, they did the simulcasting. I remember that. They used to have like 16 races for the day. I remember doing
that guy when he first opened the track. He was good to me. I went there one night and he called me over to the office. It wasn't the guy that owned it. It was Peter Catoni that was a manager, and he said they wanted me. Mike Campbell had Arnold Gerhardt's horses, the guy that owned the track, and he said Arnold wants you to drive his horses. He said,
and Mike wanted you to.
And Mike wanted me too. So I said, well, I don't know. I said I'll have to talk it over with Mike. Anyway, Mike said, yeah. He said that's what I want. So anyway, he offered me $1,500 a month just to go up and drive his horses.
Wow.
Plus 10%.
Yeah.
The 10% didn't amount to much, but
well, still, it's
it was nice of them, and they did everything the way they wanted to do it, but it just didn't work out because they didn't have no money. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and they were having huge purses out too.
Yeah, and the bets, you got to have a casino for something like that to happen.
Yeah. Because I know, like go ahead.
So I did that for 2 or 3 years, but then I just stopped doing it. But I used to go up there and race when I could, but
I have a fun little video coming up here too. This is you being interviewed on TSN for the Monctonian, and I went for a little hunt for this one. So it's only like 10 seconds long. So I'm going to bring it up real quick, and then we'll show some pictures from your horses from the 90s. Where are we at? There we are, Monctonian. And it's slowly loading. And I think it's right. Here it is.
From the East Coast. And let's go to Marty Adler and that real driver right now.
Okay, so I finished third in that race, but I want to tell you why I finished third. Take a look at this man right here. This is the leading driver in the Maritimes. He is 60 wins shy of 2,500 wins. His name is Steve Mahar. You're going to hear a lot about him if he ever leaves the Maritimes. But I want to tell you, it's because of this guy here being parked on the outside that I decided not to go to the outside because I thought that his horse would get in the way. How do you feel being in my road?
Well, I don't know. They sent me out there to look after you, and I tried to look after
you. And you took care of me, all right. Okay. See, this guy knows exactly where to be out there. All right, Steve, the topic at hand right now is this big Monctonian 100. Now, tell me, Kurt Secco, tell me about the horse, and how do you think you're going to do?
I drove him once last year. He raced real good for me. He win 59, I guess, with him here, and he's a handy horse. These kind of horses are kind of world-class horses. I don't know how he's going to fit in here, but we're going to give it our best shot.
Okay, that's Steve Mahar joining us. Now, let me tell you, if you ever get a chance to see Steve Mahar in a race, you put your $2 on him, and he isn't going to let you down. Back to you, Michael.
All right, so that was kind of fun. That was during Monctonian 90. Now, that's like we were talking about the owner. Like, I mean, the guys, they didn't have much money. They were throwing a big purse money for that race, and they had like TSN down there, so they were making a huge deal of it. But they weren't they gone in like 91, Moncton?
I think it was around 91. Yeah.
Yeah, like soon after they were pretty much gone because I think he was just throwing money out. Like you were saying, Steve, you gotta have the bet. I mean, you can throw it $1 million race if you want, but if no one's gonna bet on it, you're not gonna make any money, right?
No.
So
Moncton's never been known to be a track that people bet.
We lost Sam again.
I raced at the old track, and there was so many mosquitoes there they carry you away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, because that was in Dieppe, so it's a little bit outskirts, is it not?
Yeah.
That area? Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah, that's. Oh, here's Sam again. Sam's back. Where's Sam?
Yeah, you're fading out there. You sound like a robot there.
Is my sound acting up? Is it really? Because you just tell me, let me know if it is. Can you guys hear me?
On my end it is.
How am I here? How am I for you guys, Steve and Twila? Am I okay over here?
You're good here.
Yeah.
I think Sam's just losing his mind, getting old there, buddy.
And Sam, he's good. We can hear you good.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just can't hear us.
It's okay, Sam. We'll forgive you, buddy. I can't. I'm not trying to laugh at him. Can you hear us, Sam?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear, buddy. Okay, so we're gonna keep going here.
You're breaking up a little on this end.
Am I breaking up?
No, Sam.
Sam, yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep Sam there. We're gonna go through some of their Fredericton horses, and hopefully Sam can see. I mean, yeah. So this one here is King Tyler. Now you won the what was it? You won the Walter Dale with King Tyler, did you not? 1990.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So memories of King Tyler.
Yeah, he was a very nice horse.
There is right there. Yeah, inspiration. All right. And then you also had Alfred, which I'm trying to think.
Earl Fram and Al McNutt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, what stake race did you win with him?
He won pretty near every stake race he was in.
Okay. And same
Alfred, his big night was the night you won the Burial McIsaac in St. John.
Yeah.
He came off the track. He came off the track. There was something wrong. It seemed like he was ouchy or something. He had something to do with the shoe or fixed it.
Yeah.
Without, and everybody thought for sure. Went back out the track. I think Marcel had brought one down that year to race, didn't he, from Montreal? And, they were all expecting him to win. Stevie get there.
You had another horse called Gordon Shumway, which, I'm a big Alf fan, the show Alf, and that's the name of Alf, Gordon Shumway. I remember looking at that Fredericton video and like, that's pretty cool, Gordon Shumway.
It was the same owners as Salsa Blue.
Okay. Yeah.
He named all his horses Richard Potfield because he used to smoke pot, but he was the what do you call it? And Seltzer Blue and Tainted Tuna. And what's the other? Gordon Shumway. He had all crazy names for them.
Hey, good horses.
Yeah, they were good horses. I won a lot of races for them horses.
I'm just gonna bring up a picture. This is an article from, I think this is around 89. This is after you got one of your accidents. They have an article about it. We have that. So then we have right here. This is, I don't have the name of the horse. Oh no, right here, CL.
Oh,
single?
Was that Morris Brown's horse?
It's one of Sheldon Watts's at the head, so it must be one of Sheldon's. Oh, it's a Wayne Hills horse.
Oh, okay.
It's not Bob McKee Breeze, is it?
No, it's Wayne Hills. It's Wayne and Marlene's. What was their little horse there?
CL. I think I see something here. CL single. Does that ring a bell?
No.
July 26, 94. 159-4. That's what I have for the date.
That's what it is. CL single. CC. CL single.
Yeah.
CC.
Okay.
Yeah. Sheldon and you're right. Sheldon Watts trained it and Stephen drove it.
Nice.
It's one of the Watts kids. Kelly, I think, at its head. Was it Kelly at its head, Junior?
Let's take a look here. Bring it back up. There you go.
Maybe he can't hear me.
No, I can hear you. I brought it up to see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Kelly Watts at the horse's head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot younger looking than I remember Kelly, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, and Wayne and Marlene, and
Okay. So another horse, Metric Molly, I think it is. This one here.
Meductic Molly.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what year was this? This looks. I can't figure out years for the life of me.
I don't know really.
Like range, like 90s, 80s.
Yeah, 90s. She belonged to Bob Hume, dentist in Moncton, and he had Western Miracle and
Woodstock.
In Woodstock. Different horses that Stephen drove.
He had Calgary, Flutie, and
Yeah. He sent her down here, and I think you qualified her like 5 times because she was afraid of everything. She didn't see anything really in Woodstock, but she was a nice filly and a nice mare.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had a couple of real good stake horses that I won a lot of races with.
Calgary Flutie was a nice horse. Yeah.
I have a couple here. You win 8 of 10 races, Steve.
Yeah.
That's
and
impressive.
He should have won 9 that night.
Okay. What happened in the 9th one?
Do you remember? It was that.
I think it was a maiden.
No, it wasn't. It was Clarence's horse, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh well, maybe it was a maiden.
There was where's the other clip at? I think I have it. Right? Is this the one where it's like 8 reasons? I can't see because my phone's in the way. 8 reasons for Mahar to remember the Fredericton cards. They go 8 different reasons. Yeah, that's kind of fun. And then we have another picture. I still have a few videos to go through too. This one here is Monctonian.
Monctonian, yeah.
Yeah, the card for the races last week, and that's you record your 3,000th win. And then we're hopping all over the place. We're going from 3,000 all the way to 4,000. This is your 4,000. This is a picture at EPR of your 4,000th win. They're celebrating it. So we won't even try to figure out who's in this picture. I think I put it on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure everybody almost got it right.
It's familiar face.
Yeah.
Alan Jones.
Alan Jones from Moncton.
Norm Legier, and they still have horses and race every week.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we have the actual winning one right here. That was in, where's that at again, guys?
That's Bangor.
Bangor. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look here. Oh, I have something to say. Peter let me know. Peter has told me to say this. He said thank you to Stephen for selling him Twin B John Boy. It's Peter's favorite horse. And he told the story how Twin B John Boy was in I think you guys were sharing a barn or something, or you're in the area, and Stephen wasn't the biggest fan and sold him to Peter. And Peter, like, if you mention Twin B John Boy to Peter, he'll go on for.
He really liked the horse.
Yeah, he loved that horse. Yeah, I gave him. Actually, I forgot to put that up. I gave him Peter's birthday was a few weeks ago, and I did a little slideshow for him and got some of his old videos. And I got a Twin B John Boy race from Charlottetown that he had obviously seen when he won, but hadn't seen since. So Jerry McCabe sent it down, and Peter was pretty excited. He loves that horse. Yeah, he loved that horse.
Yes, he did.
I didn't own him. I had him for an owner that wanted to sell him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just he said mention it. Don't forget to mention it. So I was thinking of that because I think we're kind of not really coming to a close, but we're getting into the 2000s. So I wanted to make sure that I brought it up. I'm going to see where I'm at for videos here. We got Sam back. Good there, Sam. Can you hear us?
Yeah, no, we're good and clear again.
Super. I missed one. I missed a few videos. I'm going to show this right here. This is a Rothman Sire Stakes from 1988, the Philly.
Skyjacker.
Yes. I missed like a bunch of races. I'm sorry. We'll bring a few up right now. So let's bring up this. This is, again, 3/4 mark, and we'll bring this up, and we'll talk about Miss Skyjacker when it's over. The awkwardness of like the 10 seconds between the part where I click on it and when it starts. Here we go.
Expo extra challenging hard second. Then Miss Skyjacker around the rail third, looking for room to move, but isn't there right now. GVSP is fourth. They swing her home, and it is Kill Karen Jim, and here comes Miss Skyjacker up to the top. Miss Skyjacker. GVSP is coming out, down, strong on the outside. Miss Skyjacker wins it, and then GVSP down, and then Denaston Curious, and the time for the mile, 2:04.
So that was like that was a really big race. I mean, weren't they going for like 60,000 at that point?
Yeah, that's when Rothman's first come into the Sire Stakes program, and the purse was like 60,000. And
wow.
eliminations. I forget what they went for, but I had two eliminations, and I win both eliminations.
Yeah.
So then the guy that owned the horse, I think John Proud got him to maybe get me to drive him.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, he come up here and he had an old trailer, and I wouldn't even go on the road with it. But anyway, he blew in here with this horse, and he was telling me how good it was, and I said, I'll tell you how good it is after I drive it, But
yeah,
it was just one of them things. Anyway, he win, and both of them win. So now he said, "You're going to drive mine, right? You're going to drive mine." And I said, "Oh, I don't know. I'll let you know." So I was going to drive his because it seemed like it was the best. But anyway, he did end up winning, and they were so happy, and I was so happy for them because they never really didn't seem like they had much and stuff, and it was $30,000 was a nice
Oh yeah, for sure. And the idea of just winning it.
John had told you before that she was a nice filly.
Yeah. John had mentioned it to me on Facebook. I think I said I was doing your podcast, and we lost Sam again. Sam, I don't know what Sam's doing. So, and John mentioned this, the Skyjacker, and I have an idea. The hardest thing with doing the podcast, really, Sam's on 2 windows now. No, he's gone from 1 window. Here he is. You having some trouble there, Sam? Are you okay? Are you good? I don't know if you can hear us. Can you hear me? Sam? Is he muted? I wonder if he's muted. He's just looking at us. This is it's very strange. Sam, can you hear us? Okay. Well, I'm going to keep going.
Anyway, I drove her in a lot of other stakes that she won, that year. The next year, and he had other colts I drove for him after that, and it was a good horse.
Yeah. So you had him for how long did you have her for? A couple of years?
I didn't have him. I just drove him. They just stuck him, and I drove him.
Yeah.
And wherever they went, I used to go and drive them or whatever.
They were from Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
That's how they knew John. And
Yeah. And John's a great guy, super nice guy. When I did Francis's podcast, I called John up and we did. Can you hear us, Sam? I guarantee he's muted. Can you hear us? Well, we'll just have Sam there. There he is. Is he back?
I don't know what's going on, whether the internet's cutting out this way or not.
Oh yeah.
It is,
there are storms in the area out around there in Fredericton.
Yeah, there's something going on here. I keep losing you. So what I'll say is, listen, I've enjoyed running down memory lane with you. So I'll let you go, and you guys can finish up, and I'll watch the end when Scott releases it.
All right, talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sam, for all the help and stuff. And I might see you on Friday. Let's talk. All right, bye. See you later, Sam. All right. Yeah, that's probably happening. Because I know it's kind of, I haven't looked outside in a while, but I was out earlier, it looked a little rough. So then we hit the 2000s. I'm just going to kind of jump right into that. The 90s is a big time for you, Steve. You're winning all the time. You win champion. I'm going to go back to your stats real quick here. Or bring them up. And I could be wrong. I could have missed about a bunch of different things, but
he's got the maritime record for the most amount of wins in 1 year. 200.
Yeah, 286 is it?
286.
It was 89 or 90, I think it was it not?
Yeah.
And then it's the awards, 80, driver of the year, 87, 88, 91, 92, 93, 95.
We have boxes of trophies.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Most
wins.
You want a few?
Hey, if you're offering, I'll take them from you. But I'm not asking for them. But I'll tell you, so you just dominate through the 90s. So let's just kind of, I don't want to skip the 90s too quickly because that's a big time for you. What's some of your memories
I was just so lucky them years. You get guys like Phil Pinckney calling you and saying, I got a couple of stake horses I wouldn't mind you driving. It's kind of a feather in your cap, when somebody like that calls you. And Ronnie Matheson on the island, he used to get me to drive. And, I drove for a lot of nice people that had a lot of good horses.
Bob Webster.
Bob Webster, he had his Camps for You over there, and he won a big race, invitational race here, Exhibition Week.
Galen and Norman.
And Galen Dempsey and Norman Lord and Joe
Lindsay.
Joe Lindsay. You know, they had horses with me for years and years, and I had their horses at my own stable. But and then when I started going to Maine, you know, you look at the sheet and sire sticks are going on, and you look and you're down to drive a couple, and you don't even know the people there from down around Scarborough, and you know, you jump on and they're just win, you know, you just got to be at the right place at the right time, you know.
Like even Doug Beckwith must have drove horses for him for 40 years.
Yeah, and I drove, Doug Beckwith's horses for like 20 or 30 years probably. You know, I always went to Maine and drove his horses.
And I mean, you got to give yourself some credit too. Like, go ahead, Twila. Sorry, go ahead.
But, you know, like Johnny Gobreth, somebody like that really helps. They always have horses ready and nice horses. They had Huey Fitzpatrick's and Willard Jenkins and Jerry Lowe's, and, you know, they're nice horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we've made a lot of memories and a lot of friends, and, you know, it's been great.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm going to go over some of your accomplishments, Steve. I have them in front of me. I'm going to name them off real quick here. So I kind of sound a little repetitive after we get to like the 30th big race you won. Again, the 81 Gold Cup, the 85 Walter Dale, 85 Alexander. My computer's being there. Here we go. Let's see. 88 Walter Dale, 90 Alexander, 92 Walter Dale, 93 Monctonian, 96 the Beryl McIsaac, 97 the Anna Temple Shrine Trot. Does that ring a bell? 97? Where was that at?
At Bangor.
Okay, Bangor. Okay.
Yeah, they always have a big day for the Shriners.
That's great. That is very good. So it's like they kind of like obviously donate a lot to them and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. They bring their little cars out on the track and go all over the place.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The Shriners and stuff.
Yeah.
Then we have in 1990 when the Beryl McIsaac, win the Walter Dale again in 2002. Atlantic, a Breeders' Crown. We'll get to that in a second. I might have a video of that. I kind of wanted to keep it as a surprise, but I might have a video of that. We'll get to that in a minute. The Walter Dale, I mean, you had a track record with Bound to Be in Woodstock at 1 point, 2 minutes. Salsa Blue had a track record, the one that we showed, 57 during a hurricane, which is insane. King Tyler gets a track record in Farrington at 158. And your 5,000 win, which I have a picture of that. I tried to get your video, and I talked to the guy in Bangor, but he never got back to me. But we tried to get your video for the 5,000 win. We couldn't, so. But we do have lots of other stuff. I'm going to just bring up here. Let's see some more pictures here.
You had the track record with Gemini Risk in Bangor, and what was Doug's horse? That Ashley and Jones. Ambro Foxy also had the track record in Bangor.
Great. Yeah.
Doug Beckwith and Joan and Ashley Sloat owned the horse, and Doug Beckwith bought it from them after that day.
So I have one here from this comes from Jerry McCabe, which I got to thank Jerry because Jerry's awesome. We always trade things back and forth. Jerry's a great guy. Great guy.
Nice guy. Yeah.
We always trade stuff. Like I have something, I'll take it. Like anything, if I get something that's PEI related, I either take a copy of it for him, and the second he has something St. John related or drive related, he's right on with me. Same with Mike Ellsworth. That's a big thing about it. I'll tell you before we start the video. Like everyone working together. Like for us, I don't consider myself a historian, but people have kind of said it about me. We always work together. Like everyone works together. Like me and like Jerry, we met, and one of the nicest guys in the world. Like I told him I was doing your podcast. He's like, yeah, the second I get back, I'll send you a video. He sent me a video. And it's the same with, like, I got the, I don't want to give it away because you guys know what I got, but I don't want to give it away because it's almost like a surprise during Old Home Week. But I got a really cool thing, and I gave it to Jerry and Lee that I think they're going to do something on Old Home Week. And it was just my instant thought. Jerry would like to have that. I can't say what it is right yet. Everyone will find it at Old Home Week. So this race here, this is in 2002, Atlantic Breeders' Crown. And I'm going to find it here. And here it is right here. Clinton DeBrief.
Oh, Clinton DeBrief.
Yes.
That was one of Huey Baird's.
Yeah, that's Huey Baird's.
Yeah, here it is. It's coming up right now.
Now to 3/4, West River Naldi. Second at the rail, Woodmere Kerfuffle. Looming bold and moving up third on the outside. Milton now takes fourth. In at the rail, Elm Grove Jake fifth. 7th. PH Outlaw trailing the field. The 3/4 in 1:27 and 1/5. A CDP track record in jeopardy here. And it's Clinton to brief the leader. Woodmere Kerfuffle second on the outside. Milt is coming on third. Atlantic Breeders' Crown. 2-year-old colt pacer is Clinton to brief and Steve Mahar. Woodmere Kerfuffle is second. Milt finishes third. Town, ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome the latest track record holder at the CDP. He is Clinton to brief in 1:57.3/5. Fastest 2-year-old colt pacer ever at Charlottetown. Pacing Brown Colt 2 by quick comeback from the Sun Sam Dam Mayflower Madam. Owned and bred by Dr. Hugh Baird of Hampton, New Brunswick. Trained by Sean Shannon in the very capable hands of Steve Mahar. Folks, he's won over 4,000 races today. He wins the Atlantic Breeders' Crown Championship for 2-year-old pacing colts.
So there we go. I love Vance Cameron. If I ever get married, I want Vance Cameron to do my wedding. Just do this whole thing. I don't think my girlfriend would like that, but like, come on, it'd be fun. Vance can get really worked up right at the end and stuff. But, no, that was that came from Jerry, and that's a really good quality. If you guys do want that, the same restaurant,
that's a nice race.
We got the whole day of races from that. He sent me the whole card. So if you ever want it, just let me know. We have a couple pictures of it too. There's one there. Yeah. And then we have one. Is that your grandchildren? I think there is that it. I can't see that too much.
No, not ours. No.
We have one there, which is a real nice picture there. Yeah. And one of my favorite pictures that I found. This came from you guys. This is a super picture. You can kind of break down what it is. I love that picture.
That's in Charlottetown.
It's in Charlottetown, definitely. I just wanted the horse. Actually, the horse is Charlotte's Palace.
Charlotte's. That's
Charlotte's Raider.
Raider.
Yeah, Charlotte's Raider.
Yeah.
It's Marlene Hill's.
Yeah.
Horse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool picture. I love that picture a lot. That's a very nice picture. What year would that have been? Like around? You don't have to give me an exact year. Just kind of like ballpark, like 90s, 80s.
I think it was right around the same year as Clinton, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Wayne
Oh,
Hill.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were from Fredericton.
Okay. That's too bad. A lot of people are passing away.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of you, Steve. I think this is one that Twila sent me.
Freiburg, Maine.
Okay.
The Freiburg Fair.
And now this one's interesting. You sent me, Twila. What's going on here?
That's on the mile track in Pinehurst during qualifiers.
Okay. That's what that is. Yeah. So kind of see everybody's dressed like that. Yeah. And then, so Steve, like, we're going to talk a little bit about like 2000s come around. You've already done like almost everything imaginable. Do you really start, when do you start slowing down a little bit? I know you got involved in training a bit more. Like, I think I looked at your stats around, I can't remember exactly years. You see a little bit of a drop where you don't race as much.
Yeah. A few years ago, we weren't racing in the winter, and Gordon Corey from Maine called me and wanted to know if I'd go to Pinehurst and help him train his horses. So I think it was like January before I went down because it was late and I hadn't anything planned. And anyway, we went down and I spent the winter there, but he had like 30 some horses there. And he just gave me and Twila like 5 in a barn by herself, and we did them. We'd meet up and train together and so on like that. So
They were Archie McNeil's horses.
Yeah, Archie McNeil. I think he won with Double Splendor in the Provincial Cup here one time. But it
sounds familiar. Yeah,
he's from Nova Scotia. Anyway, it was his horses that I was training, and so I come back home and have my own. I think I usually gave up my stable like in winter because we weren't racing. A lot of my owners used to take their horses home and bring them back in the spring, and So I didn't go. I don't think I went for a couple of years. And then Bruce McDonald, Ross McDonald's brother, called me. He wanted to go to Pinehurst, and he wanted to know if I could go down. So I went down and I trained for him one winter. And so then I didn't go back for, I don't know, maybe a couple of years or something.
No, it was the very next year when Bruce decided not to go back.
Oh yeah, Garth Henry, he's from Ontario. He's a veterinarian, and his wife's a veterinarian, and actually they're from the island and Moncton actually, and he asked me if I'd be interested in going down for the winter. So he had horses with the guy that owns some beach somewhere, Reg Pettifer.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I went up. I think I went to Ottawa, and we lined up the horses that we were going to take, and he bought a couple at the sales. And I went down to North Carolina. So we had like 4 horses or 5 horses maybe, and so I trained for him in the winters, and in the summer I said, when we're all done here, I'm going back to Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, geez, I'd really like you to come to Ontario. And I said, no, I like Maine a lot. So anyway, I went back to Maine, and I went down again the next year. He asked me to go again the next year. I went down, and I said, I'm going back to Maine. He said, well, I'm going to send 2 or 3 horses with you, and but I really like you to come to Ontario. He said, why don't you take a month and think about it?
Yeah.
So Twila said, you're 65. You can't keep doing this forever.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think she talked me into it, but
yeah,
I went on, and then I went to Ontario, and he owned a big training center with Richard Moreau, and just outside of Mohawk, about 11 miles from Mohawk. So I went there, and he owned the facility with Richard, and so I stayed there, and I raced the horses that he had there, and I went back to Ottawa later on in the summer, and we kind of regrouped again to go back to North Carolina, and so we did that for a couple of years, and then he ended up that he didn't have any horses. I think we did that maybe 3 or 4 years, and he ended up that he just got down to a couple of horses. So I went down, and I had a couple of horses, and Mike Keeling and Paula Wellwood, they owned Marion Marauder. He was a Triple Crown champion, win the Hamiltonian and stuff. And anyway, they come over and asked me if I'd be interested in helping them train. So
I had one for Percy.
And I had, that was next year. Anyway, I do my own first thing in the morning, and then I go over and help them train.
Yeah.
And then they ended up, Garth didn't take anything down the next year, so I went down and went to work for them, and come back up and worked up in Ontario for them. And then I think the next year, COVID hit.
Oh yeah, everything was all messed up after that.
Yeah, so they wanted me to go down, and they were going to, try to help me get insurance and all that. Everything was so expensive and stuff. And I said, no, I'm not going down. So I just, I came back home, and then I said, maybe I'll meet up with you, in the summer next year. So anyway, I went back up. We had a trailer up there anyway. So I went back up, and Richard Moreau was a real good friend of mine, and I went over to see him one morning, and he said, who you working for? I said, nobody right yet. He said, just a minute. He came out with a sweater and a hat and said, Moreau's table. He said, you work for me tomorrow.
Nice.
And yeah, he's a real good guy. He's been the leading trainer up there for quite a few years. I think he's won like 10 O'Brien Awards and stuff.
So was it your first time? Did you? Yeah, I'm wondering, have you raced in Ontario before? Like back in the 70s or 80s? Did you ever race in Ontario before you went up that time?
No.
First time there? Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All of our friends moved and went up, like the Whalens and the Ranklins, and
we knew a lot of people up there.
Yeah.
But we liked Maine. We enjoyed Maine.
Yeah.
So.
I have one here, a picture right here. Let's see this one.
That's Veradero Hanover.
Yeah, that's a horse that Garth and them had when I was
with them.
Blake McIntosh bought him at the sale in Lexington,
Mm-hmm.
and he brought him back to Ontario, and I think he bought him for like 18,000, and they went over after and offered him 19 for him, and he sold him to them, and they brought him back, and I broke him in Ottawa before we went to North Carolina, so we took him down there, and I trained him down, and I brought him back, and I raced him, I think 6 or 7 times maybe, as a 2-year-old, but he was Pennsylvania sired, so there was no stakes for him up there. So I just raced him a little bit. He's by Sun Beach somewhere, and they wanted a Sun Beach, but they were doing a lot of breeding to better mares, and they were selling them at the sales for $200,000 or $300,000, and stuff like that. So I was getting the ones that he had home that were homebred and stuff. Anyway, they bought this horse, and so the next year I trained him. I took him down. I trained him. I think I trained him in like 56 one day, and I said, "Hold on, this is a nice horse."
Yeah.
And, I come back to Ontario, and he raced, and he win. I don't know. I think he wins 6 or 7 races maybe, and he win 150, but paced a lot of miles in 49. He raced in the North American Cup, and anyway, Ron Burke, the big trainer down below, he called and wanted to buy him, and so Garth called me and said, "What do you think?" And he said, "I said, well, he's got 250,000 made or whatever." I said, "If you could sell him for 250, I said it'd be good profit, So anyway, he said, I'll let you know." So he called me back. He said, "We decided we're going to keep half of them." He said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I wouldn't do that. I'd sell them all or sell none,
Yeah.
And anyway, they sold half of them, and I sent him down there, and they trained him, and I asked him in the paddock one night. I seen him there, and I said, "Did you train the horse?" He said, "Yeah, we trained him in 150 yesterday." And Yannick really liked him, and so on. So I watched him. They had him in to go to race, and I sent him down. I sent all the equipment. I sent a thing about him, and I said he always has his feet up in the air because he gets his legs up and stuff like that. So I said, make sure everything's high. Anyway, they raced him. The first time they raced him, they changed all the rigging on him, and he ran away in the post parade, and they had to run him into the fence to get him stopped.
I've heard that happen.
He was in a race, and he got parked. He up to 3/4, like 119 or something. He was just a runaway.
Yeah.
And so they called me up and said that, I said, well, I sent down everything, with him, all the harness and everything. So anyway, they raced him a couple other times, and he finished 3rd. But then a week later, he called me back and said the horse got a tendon problem. He got his leg caught in the feed tub.
Jesus.
So anyway, we ended up getting him back, and I brought him back, and I trained him back one year in Pinehurst, and I think I trained him a couple times in 56, and I took him down to Wally Hennessy, and he qualified him a couple times, and he said the leg's not going to hold up. So we brought him back home and sent him to the island. He stood stud over there for a couple of years.
Well, it's good. At least he got to enjoy his retirement. Yeah, they didn't have the worst happen to him, which can happen.
Yeah. Wayne Hubbard's got a couple horses by him there, I know.
I love Janice's that little trotter.
Oh yeah,
Hall of a ride. Yeah, I'll talk about if you mentioned that horse too. That's my new favorite horse. I told her that. Yeah. I'm almost tempted to go to Woodstock, but me and Sam were talking about it. He's in tough this week, so it might be but a trip to Woodstock. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not driving that far.
Yeah.
So
sure
pretty much,
I'm sure Ivan Davies has got one in there that's probably pretty good.
Yeah, oh yeah, it should be a good race. I'll definitely watch it if I'm not there. I just look at it's a 2-hour show I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So pretty much, after that, I want to say, would you say you're retired, Stephen, or do you think you're still kind of going, just a little slower?
Well, this year I came back. This last fall I came back, and we just decided I wasn't going to do it anymore. But
yeah, so kind of time to relax.
Yeah,
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wish there was some horses down the track that I can go down and fart around with or whatever.
Yeah,
I'd even buy a horse with somebody just to have it around there. But they say they're going to close the barn area and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's just I'm not going to get into that.
I don't blame you. No, it's probably not the best idea right now. Yeah. Well, I'm going to show some pictures of the family if you guys don't mind. Twila, I'm going to show some pictures of I think this is your daughter and your grandchildren. This is correct.
Yes, that's our daughter Bonnie and her daughters Jocelyn and Rebecca.
Okay. And then we have
our youngest and our oldest granddaughters.
Then we have right here.
And that's our daughter Tara and her daughter Caitlin May.
Awesome. Okay.
She's
and
our
also
middle granddaughter. And that's
right here.
The three of the girls, they're our granddaughters with us.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And we have Stephen. This is one I got from Telegraph Journal.
Yeah, that's Stephen and that's Rebecca.
Yeah, when she was a baby. There we go.
She was a baby. She was 3 months old.
And we have the picture of you guys.
Yeah.
Which I'll probably I'll probably put that in the cover there of the you guys are seeing it quicker than I am because hold on here. Yeah. There we go. Awesome. So how I'm going to do this is once we wrap up, I'm bringing in your Hall of Fame speech, Steve, but I'm going to actually add it on to the end of the video. So when everyone watches, they're going to see the interview with you. And then at the end, they'll see your Hall of Fame speech and stuff like that. Before we finish, like, do you guys? And I know we could if we went over your whole career, Steve, we'd probably be here until next Tuesday night doing it. So I apologize. I skipped over anything. I didn't mean to skip over anything. Like, if anything important. So before we go, if you want to add anything to it, like, feel free. Twila, if you want to add anything, completely feel free before we finish.
I like to say that Twila, she drove the starting gate in Pinehurst and schooled all the babies. You know. Behind them every morning, and she did the qualifiers. And, you know, she deserves a lot of credit.
Oh, I know. I know you guys are a team for sure, and that's great because you don't always see that. So no, you guys are great, and I appreciate everything you guys did for me because half the videos on YouTube come from you guys. I still remember when Twila messaged me.
I'm surprised the 5,000th win it wasn't in some of those videos.
You know the problem with it was. And I feel bad if I find I'll upload it. When I originally started doing the videos, I just recorded them and typed like 19 da 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 da. Now that I kind of know more, I know like, oh, this is this is that, right?
Yeah.
Because I was more just like when you guys dropped them videos off to me, I was just sitting in my living room in shock. Mm-hmm. Like when I opened them up, it's like 1983.
We can take them back anytime you want them again to.
Well, I don't want to make you go all the way back. Maybe sometime. I don't want to make you go all the way back in and get them and bring them back.
Oh, no. No, we were there Sunday, and the box is sitting there.
If you honestly, and we haven't recorded, if you ever want to, I feel free because I'll be honest, I kind of like your quality was great on your videos. I used my VCR wasn't the best when I recorded them, so maybe in the future, I wouldn't mind it actually because I can re-record them and get a better quality, and then we can find some of your Pompano stuff. Because I kind of went through, but just let me know. I'm always around and stuff. So But and I still have your big box upstairs with all your stuff. Everything's there intact.
Oh, that's great.
There's pictures everywhere and stuff. So
that's great. It's not stored in my place. It's at yours.
Oh no, I love it. It's great because I'll tell you when I do podcasts, I go right to that box and I'm like, okay, I need to find stuff, and I'll it's like my little research. I had my birthday party here, and a couple of I'm 8. Like I had a birthday party. I had friends over at a gathering for my birthday, and I was showing everybody in my house. And I went up and said, "This is my spare room. Like, what's with all the trunks?" And I'm like, and I open up like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "It's harness and stuff." And they're like, "What?" And my buddy was like, "If there's a spark in your house, it's going up in flames with all that paper." I'm like, "No, I'm good." But no, I appreciate you guys coming on. That was a lot of fun. We had some technical difficulties, but it happens every single time. And
and it's so hard, Scott, because like with a career that long, there's so many people that were involved in it.
Exactly.
But there's so many people that, like I said, Galen Dempsey, Doug Beckwith, and Linda, and like he had Albert and Inez's horses for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So there were
it's hard
a lot
to get everybody
of people that good horses.
Yeah. That we had to,
And
remember that people, anyone watching, don't get offended. And not that we didn't mean to leave you out. It was that if we went through every horse that he raced, I'll tell you something funny before I go. I'll tell you a funny thing. Steve, we were going to do this, we decided not to when Peter was going to come on, and Peter apologized for not coming on. Peter said what we should do is we should take like 10 horses and almost do like a fire question kind of thing, right? And I thought, yeah, maybe. So Peter's like, okay, well, when you're doing his races, go through and write down every horse that you hear Steve drove. Like one tape it was like, I mean, oh my God, it was unreal. Every race, new horse. Like I had a list, like a massive list. I sent it to Peter. He's like, no, he didn't race. Peter was everything. He didn't race that horse. He catch drove that horse. Didn't own that horse. He raced him once. And I'm like, you know what, Peter, just figure out the horses. I'm like,
even the clippings that you put on.
Yeah.
Like in different days. Yeah. And I'm looking at the results. I'll say to him, I don't remember this horse. He'll say, oh yeah, so-and-so had that horse. Or,
yeah,
did you train this horse? No, I just drove it.
The clippings are fun.
But there's a few I can't remember either.
Yes, there are.
When I do it when it's slow for me at work, because I have my work computer and I have my laptop. When I'm slow or I'm bored, I'll just go in and be like, what day was like August 3rd, 19, It's Saturday, boom, copy. Because I set them, I think somebody asked me once, are you up every morning 8 a.m.? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? Like, because it comes out every morning 8 a.m. I'm like, no. These are done like months out. I have like September ready. I just set them to come out at 8 a.m. This human being does not wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 8:30 for work, and that's it. I work at 9. I'm up at 8:30 if I'm lucky. So I thank you guys so much for coming on. I really do. I really appreciate it. It was a ton of fun. Had some great stories. And so I'll go ahead and let everyone watch the Hall of Fame. And if you guys have anything else you want to add before we go?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad that Sam could be on there too, because
it was great.
Like I said,
he had some great stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Randy and Joe, and like they were all
part of the family at one time.
Yeah.
They're gonna love it. No, I'm looking forward to it, guys. Looking forward to everyone watching it. And so Randy, thanks a lot.
His adopted son.
Thanks a lot again, guys, and have yourself a great night. I know we went a little long there, so I hope I didn't keep you too long.
No,
and
sorry.
I'll be seeing you down at the track there. And whenever you want to stop by more tapes, I'm always here and I'm always willing to take tapes, even if I see them.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you, Twila. Thank you, Steve. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. So that was the podcast with Twila and Steve Mahar. Lots of fun there. You guys don't see the technical difficulties. We had a little bit in the middle there. But again, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And what we're going to do is we're going to play the Hall of Fame. Steve inducted in 1997 here in St. John. And so basically, we have lots of new stuff coming up in the next little bit. There's always new videos coming up. But like Twila and them were mentioning on the Facebook page, the History of EPR, we have this day in the History of EPR. We have tons of new pictures always going up. We have Marcel Barrow Thursdays for the next little bit. New podcast coming up soon enough. We're going to get a Jeopardy done soon. So make sure to subscribe, hit the comment, hit the notification bell up in the corner there. Because I'll be honest, guys, I upload a lot of videos long before they go on the Facebook. So if you do subscribe, you get to see the videos before anybody else. So definitely hit the subscribe button. And so until next time, we'll see you again on the History of EPR.
You just watch it live at Exhibition Park. Come on.